Chapter 45. Chapter 45, Gold Dragon Palace. On the official road to the dark forest in Tianan Province. Boy, in front of you is Qingdong City. Due to its proximity to the dark forest, the forces of Qingdong City became entangled. Some of them may be the forces of Gold Dragon Palace, and, of course, there are also some spies from Blood Feather Tower. Because of this, you need to keep a low profile when you go into the city. Sima Bu took a conical straw hat from his gold dragon ring, handing it to Jian Wushuang. Carrying the long sword, Jian Wushuang, whose clothes were in tatters, took it and wore it without hesitation. Compared to 4 months ago when he just entered the dark forest, Jian Wushuang obviously appeared a little calmer, and his skin had also turned much darker. Because of this, his innocent appearance had vanished. In the city, Jian Wushuang wore a conical straw hat that slightly covered his face. Although he knew that Qingdong City was already within the region of Tianan Province and the intelligence system of Blood Feather Tower was certainly not as good as Tianyan Province, Jian Wushuang was still cautious. Led by Sima Bu, the two quickly arrived in front of a magnificent loft. A gold dragon hovered over the rooftops of the gigantic loft, in front of which 2 men were standing there coldly. Then Sima Bu brought Jian Wushuang inside. A large number of warriors were in the loft, and most of them, like Sima Bu, were wearing a gold ring, apparently symbolizing that they were gold dragon guards. "Boy, wait for me for a while. I'm going to turn in the task," Sima Bu said. "Okay." Jian Wushuang nodded, and then slightly raised his head, looking around at those gold dragon guards, who seemed to be drinking wine and chatting very casually. Yet, he could feel their subtle killing intent. Brother Bu was right. Gold dragon guards, all of them are dangerous killers, who often engage in life and death struggles. Jian Wushuang whispered. It took more than 4 months to finally fulfill the task. Sima Bu came back to where Jian Wushuang was, carrying a pot of wine. Then he said, "Boy, I took the task in the first place for the purpose of helping Ji Wuyue. As for bringing you, it was just out of convenience. Now my mission has been completed, so from here on you are on your own. Thank you for all your help in these 4 months, Brother Bu." Jian Wushuang nodded with gratitude deep down inside. Sima Bu really gave him a lot of assistance, and Jian Wushuang secretly kept that favor in mind. "Haha, it's nothing. Oh, yes. What do you intend to do next?" Sima Bu looked at him and asked. "I want to be a gold dragon guard," Jian Wushuang said directly. "Oh." Sima Bu smiled and said with a raised brow, "I knew that was the choice you would make. Gold Dragon Guard is an occupation that walks on the edge of life and death, making it easier to hone real experts, dangerous as it is. Besides, judging from your actions in the dark forest, your craziness makes you suitable to be a Gold Dragon Guard. However, the Gold Dragon Guard is divided into several different levels, such as 1-clawed Gold Dragon Guard, 2-clawed Gold Dragon Guard, 3-clawed Gold Dragon Guard, and Golden Dragon Ambassador, which is the highest level. Considering your current strength, at most, you can complete the task required to become a 1-clawed Gold Dragon Guard." "Yes, I see," said Jian Wushuang while nodding. Jian Wushuang often asked Bu about a variety of things those 4 months in the dark forest. Naturally, that included questions about the Gold Dragon Guard. Gold Dragon Guard was an occupation with high requirements. To even become a 1-clawed Gold Dragon Guard, the lowest level, one must at least reach the peak of the profound transforming sea realm. In addition, to become a Gold Dragon Guard, you had to complete a task assigned by Gold Dragon Palace. These tasks were extremely difficult, and the chance of failure was high. With your current strength, as long as you are careful and not too impulsive, you have the ability to complete the task and become a 1-clawed Gold Dragon Guard. It isn't supposed to be difficult. Sima Bu laughed. Witnessing Jian Wushuang's growth, step by step for 4 months. Sima Bu was definitely aware of his strength. Follow me. I'll take you to sign up and accept the task of a one-clawed gold dragon guard, said Sima Bu. Jian Wushuang nodded. Then Sima Bu brought him to the counter in the attic, in front of which was a gray-robed elder with silver hair and half-squinting his eyes, who looked like he might fall asleep. Mr. Hua, said Sima Bu with reverence, my little brother wants to take on the task of a one-clawed gold dragon guard. The old man in gray looked up slightly, glancing at Jian Wushuang with his half-squinting eyes, and said indifferently, What's your name? With regard to my name, Jian Wushuang touched his nose, the corners of his mouth curling upwards, as he said, Just call me Swordsman. Swordsman? Sima Bu cast a glance at Jian Wushuang and burst out in laughter. Take this token and come here again 3 days from now. The gray-robed elder threw a wooden token with a gold dragon mark to Jian Wushuang, and then turned around without giving Jian Wushuang a second glance. Is it that simple? Jian Wushuang took the wooden token with great surprise. What do you think? Go, said Sima Bu, smiling as they walked back. This is Mr. Bu, right? Haven't seen you for many years. I didn't expect to meet you here today, said someone with a clear and unpleasant tone of voice. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang saw a black-robed man with a cold face and bird eyes coming over, followed by a purple-haired man. Zhu Tao. Sima Bu picked his eyebrow, coldly smiling as he said, Long time no see. Zhu Tao, his bird eyes flashing with a ray of coldness, then looked to the gray-robed elder by the counter. Mr. Hua, this is my disciple, Dongfang Yu. He is here to accept the task of a one-clawed gold dragon guard. Zhu Tao said humbly, Take this token and come back here in 3 days. The gray-robed elder still spoke coldly and also gave the purple-haired man a wooden token with the gold dragon mark. Zhu Tao turned around, and his eyes swept the room, only to see the wooden token in the hands of Jian Wushuang. The corners of his mouth quirked up as he said indifferently, Mr. Bu, the one who is behind you is your disciple? It seems that he has already taken the task of a one-clawed gold dragon guard, too. What a coincidence. This is one of my little brothers, called Swordsman, not my disciple, Sima Bu said directly. Is he not your disciple? Zhu Tao was laughing, then turned around and looked at the purple-robed man. My disciple, this is your great master, Mr. Bu, whom I often mentioned, and the one next to him is one of his little brothers. You may as well say hello to his little brother. After all, you are going to work together to accomplish the one-clawed gold dragon guard mission. Yes. The purple-robed man nodded, then looked directly at Jian Wushuang. The corners of his mouth at this moment quirked up as he said, Swordsman, my name is Dongfang Yu. I wonder if you have the courage to fight with me. Chapter 46. Chapter 46. Dongfang Yu. Fight with you? Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes and felt a little worried. Sima Bu said in a low voice, Zhu Tao has a history with me and holds a grudge. His strength is not as good as mine, so he does not dare to come to me in person, only sending his disciple to make trouble for you. Just ignore him. Is that so? Jian Wushuang knew the reason. While glancing at Dongfang Yu, he shook his head and said, Sorry, I'm not interested. How come? Could it be said that the person Mr. Bu brought here is a coward? Dongfang Yu said with a cold smile and a loud voice, attracting the attention of the gold dragon guards in the loft. The gold dragon guards looked in their direction and immediately revealed a look of interest. As so many people stared at Jian Wushuang suddenly, he pressed down his conical straw hat with a grim face. Zhu Tao, what do you mean by this? Sima Bu shouted with a cold voice. Nothing. I just did not expect that the person Mr. Bu brought here was so arrogant. Whatever the outcome is, we are going to complete the task of a one-clawed gold dragon guard together 3 days from now. He is too supercilious to even greet me, replied Zhu Tao with a sneer. Well, do you mean that no matter who challenge us, we must take it? In that case, I challenge you now. I wonder if you have the courage to fight with me? Sima Bu said with a deep voice. Haha, mister. Bu is making a fun of me. Everyone knows your strength. I dare not fight with you, Zhu Tao said casually. Joking? Sima Bu comprehended a glimmer of the blade essence of raging fire. He was even a 3-clawed gold dragon guard, and he was at the peak of the primordial gold core realm. Sima Bu was obviously much stronger than Zhu Tao. Swordsman, will you always hide behind Mr. Bu? Being such a coward, what qualification do you have to complete the task of a one-clawed gold dragon guard? Dongfang Yu said with a sneering smile. You're right. Jian Wushuang suddenly looked up with a slight smile. If it is just a greeting, I have no reason to refuse. Please. Jian Wushuang. Sima Bu looked over in surprise. Don't worry. I know what to do, Jian Wushuang said with a quieter voice. Jian Wushuang accepted the challenge, and it was decided the fighting area would just be the open space of the central hall. In the area with a coverage of dozens of square meters stood Jian Wushuang and Dongfang Yu with a large number of gold dragon guards nearby, happily watching. While standing there, with a long black stick in his hand, Dongfang Yu exuded a soaring aura. Long staff. Jian Wushuang's expression changed as he drew the triple kill sword. Boy, be careful. Dongfang Yu smiled, followed by a quick move. Then he instantly rushed over. At this moment, the long stick in his hands turned into a shining black light. So slow. Jian Wushuang saw Dongfang Yu rushing straight over, but he didn't take it seriously. In fact, Dongfang Yu's burst of speed from the exceptional transforming sea realm was very fast, but compared with Jian Wushuang, who comprehended a trace of the sword essence of Gale, it was indeed a bit too slow. Though it was slow, the power was not weak. I'll use him to put on a good show. Jian Wushuang faintly smiled and suddenly swung the triple kill sword, releasing a whistling sword light that divided the air. Clang! The triple kill sword directly collided with that shining black light, making a low-pitched percussion sound. And then the dark light turned into a huge snake, twisting in the air before instantly changing back into the form of a stick, aiming to hit him. What? Jian Wushuang seemed to panic as he hurriedly waved the sword to block. But he was still hit by the stick, causing his body and knees to bow. What's more, the serpent form lengthened unexpectedly, as if a large, fierce-looking mouth was ferociously opening to bite Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang placed the triple kill sword horizontally across his chest with great effort. Pung! A low noise was heard as Jian Wushuang was knocked back, retreating directly to the edge of the open space to keep his balance. Moreover, a trace of blood spilled from his mouth at this moment. What a piece of trash you are. Dongfang Yu placed the stick upright and said with an indifferent look, You can't even take 3 attacks from my stick, yet you want to complete the task of a one-clawed gold dragon guard. Ridiculous. After he finished talking, Dongfang Yu did not bother to glance at Jian Wushuang. Instead, he went toward his great master, Zhu Tao, both looking at each other with a subtle smile. Zhu Tao, your disciple is really good. His stick technique is very strong. Besides, his cultivation has also reached the peak of the exceptional transforming sea realm. Also, his cultivation method seems unusual, and his release of spiritual power was obviously much stronger than the average warrior in the exceptional transforming sea realm. Where did you find such a good disciple? Gold Dragon guards acquainted with Zhu Tao were talking with their sights focused on him and Dongfang Yu, but no one even glanced at Jian Wushuang. After all, In this world, the strong will always be honored. Since Jian Wushuang was defeated and could not even ward off 3 strokes, naturally he could not attract the attention of these gold dragon guards. Ha ha, I'm telling you guys the truth. My disciple is the son of my old friend, and he indeed has a bit of talent. I would like to seize the opportunity to send him to Dragon Palace, but no one recommended him. Zhu Tao said with a laugh. Dragon Palace. You intend to send him to Dragon Palace, but no one will recommend him. Ha ha, Zhu Tao, your disciple is really good. The Gold Dragon Palace was very noisy because many of the Gold Dragon guards were talking about topics related to Dragon Palace. Jian Wushuang, whom no one noticed, left the crowd's attention quietly, coming to Sima Bu. Sima Bu, who was drinking alone by the table, threw the wine pot to Jian Wushuang when he saw him coming over. Take a sip, Sima Bu said. Jian Wushuang caught the wine flask and took a drink without hesitation. He had learned to drink from Sima Bu in the dark forest during the last 4 months. Now, when drinking, he felt comfortable tasting the tangy and piquant flavor. Refreshing, Jian Wushuang could not help commenting. You could have beaten him head-on, so why lose deliberately? Sima Bu laughed with a lowered voice. Though others did not know the strength of Jian Wushuang, Sima Bu was fully aware of it. Apparently, Jian Wushuang lost the fight on purpose. This is, after all, a branch palace of the Gold Dragon Palace. The more people, the more interference. Hence, there may be some spies from Blood Feather Tower. I have to keep a low profile, as it is now. Everyone will focus their attention on Dongfang Yu, so no one will pay attention to me. Isn't that good? Jian Wushuang said, and laughed. Haha, I understand your intention, but don't you feel embarrassed being defeated by Dongfang Yu in front of so many people with only 3 strokes? Sima Bu asked again. Compared with my life, losing face is of little significance, Jian Wushuang said, grinning and continuing to drink with his head raised. Chapter 47. Chapter 47, Dragon Palace. Having experienced the betrayal of Jian Meng'er and the pursuit from Blood Feather Tower, Jian Wushuang had become more mature and prudent. He understands when to be tolerant and keep a low profile. Taking the battle with Dongfang Yu as an example, if he failed, he would lose face, but if he won, all the people would pay attention to him, and then the rate of exposure for his identity would increase significantly. Well, Brother Bu, do you know anything regarding the Dragon Palace these people have been talking about? Jian Wushuang asked. Dragon Palace. When Sima Bu spoke about Dragon Palace, his expression was full of obvious desire. That is the Holy Land for Gold Dragon Palace, as well as the Tianzong dynasty. It is a gathering of real talents. It was said that there are countless treasures, like cultivation methods and martial arts techniques. Lots of things that can't be obtained in Tianzong dynasty can be found in Dragon Palace. At the same time, there is a variety of strong and legendary people in the Yin-Yang Void realm. Anyone who enters Dragon Palace will receive the best cultivation materials from Tianzong dynasty. But not everyone can be admitted to Dragon Palace to cultivate. In Tianzong dynasty, it is said that all the people in Dragon Palace are exceptional geniuses. So you can understand that only the strongest geniuses can have the opportunity to cultivate inside Dragon Palace. People with average talent are not qualified at all. Jian Wushuang could not help being stunned. Are all of them geniuses? That was to say, any disciple in Dragon Palace would be respectfully treated as a master in Tianzong dynasty. No wonder it was called the Holy Land. Brother Bu, since the qualifications are so harsh, is Dongfang Yu qualified to enter Dragon Palace? Jian Wushuang asked. Of course. Sima Bu laughed and said, but not everyone can become a disciple and join Dragon Palace. Firstly, he must be recommended by a Golden Dragon ambassador. Secondly, he has to pass the test arranged by Dragon Palace. As for these two conditions, not everyone can accomplish the first one. Jian Wushuang understood the first condition was the recommendation from a Golden Dragon ambassador. But what's the status of a Golden Dragon ambassador? It was known to all that the strongest experts of the Gold Core realm, like Sima Bu, who had a deep understanding of the blade essence of raging fire, were just a three-clawed Golden Dragon guards. Only the supreme existences could be a Golden Dragon ambassador. That recommendation would be very difficult to get. Zhu Tao has been complaining that his disciple didn't get recommended, but if he really has the talent, there is no need for him to worry about the recommendation. Look at Mr. Huo at the counter. If Dongfang Yu really is a monster-class talent, why hasn't Mr. Huo recognized him in all this time? And nobody in Golden Dragon, subsidiary palace of Qingdong City, except him has the ability to contact a Golden Dragon ambassador. Sima Bu sneered and said. Jian Wushuang looked at the gray-robed elder in front of the counter and smiled. Mr. Hua had his eyes narrowed the whole time and would not even look at Dongfang Yu, no matter how much Zhu Tao boasted about him. In fact, Jian Wushuang, if you are willing to work hard in the future with your talent, there is a chance for you to enter Dragon Palace, Sima Bu said. Me, Jian Wushuang, shook his head. Having stayed at an inn in the Qingdong City for 3 days, Jian Wushuang went back to the Golden Dragon subsidiary palace after the 3 days' wait. Once Jian Wushuang arrived, he immediately saw many people holding the same wooden token with the same Golden Dragon mark as him, waiting in the hall. That included Zhu Tao's disciple, Dongfang Yu. So many people. Jian Wushuang was surprised. He just came in and didn't have time to find a place to sit down. Swordsman. A shadow appeared in front of Jian Wushuang, which turned out to be Dongfang Yu. However, Dongfang Yu looked at Jian Wushuang with despise at this moment. How dare you come? Why not? Jian Wushuang asked. You can't even fight with me for 3 blows. You are such a piece of trash. Did you come here to be killed? Dongfang Yu said and laughed. Even if I did, that has nothing to do with you, said Jian Wushuang as he glanced at Dongfang Yu. He didn't want to talk with Dongfang Yu because Dongfang Yu was just a self-righteous idiot in his eyes. For someone so weak, you shouldn't have such a bad temper, said Dongfang Yu with a sneer. Then he thought, boy, once the task begins, do not let me find a chance, or... Dongfang Yu remembered clearly that his great master asked him to take down anyone who had something to do with Sima Bu. Jian Wushuang sat at a table alone, but not long after, a black-haired man walked towards him. You are swordsman, right? The man asked, smiling at him and showing great passion. Who are you? Jian Wushuang looked at him and asked the man. I am Ling Tianhao, but you can also call me Mouse. I came here to finish the task to become a 1-clawed Golden Dragon Guard, just like you. The man opened his palm, showing a wooden token with the Golden Dragon mark. Is there something you want? Jian Wushuang asked coldly. Of course. Ling Tianhao looked at Jian Wushuang and asked, Is this your first time accepting the task for a 1-clawed Golden Dragon Guard? Yes, Jian Wushuang nodded. This is my 3rd time. Ling Tianhao sighed and said, My strength was not enough, so I was unable to finish my task the other 2 times, only managing a narrow escape. If I can't finish the 3rd time, I will never become a Golden Dragon Guard. Jian Wushuang fell into silence. He knew that a person could only accept the task for 1-clawed Golden Dragon Guard 3 times. If he failed all 3 times, he would never be qualified to become a Golden Dragon Guard. I want to cooperate with you. When the task begins, let's work together. Ling Tianhao said. Oh. Jian Wushuang was a little surprised. Cooperate. Don't hesitate. Ling Tianhao continued speaking. I know that you fought with Dongfang Yu 3 days ago, and you didn't even last for 3 exchanges. You are one of the weakest out of all the people attempting this task, just like me. So if you work alone, you will be killed before you even have a chance of finishing the task. You are right. I will cooperate with you. Jian Wushuang said, and nodded. Haha, that's right. Follow me. I will introduce a backer to you. Ling Tianhao pulled Jian Wushuang along as he left. Backer? Although Jian Wushuang was doubtful, Ling Tianhao brought him to meet a red-haired girl. Chapter 48. Chapter 48. The Golden Dragon Ambassador. Boss Yin, this is Brother Swordsman. He will work with us later. Ling Tianhao smiled at the playful girl. Swordsman? The girl looked at Jian Wushuang and said, I know that you fought with Dongfang Yu here 3 days ago, and you didn't last 3 strikes. Yes, that is true. Jian Wushuang touched his nose without denying it. I am Yin Min. You can call me Boss Yin like Mouse does. From now on, if you work with me, I can guarantee that no one will dare to bully you, said the playful girl, Yin Min, patting her chest. Jian Wushuang thought that Yin Min was just boasting, but he still called out, Boss Yin, yeah. Yin Min nodded without saying anything further. At that moment, Ling Tianhao said to Jian Wushuang quietly, Brother Swordsman, we are so lucky to have the backup of Boss Yin. Of course, this is because of our relationship with Dongfang Yu. Otherwise, I am afraid that Boss Yin would not help us. Oh, what do you mean? Jian Wushuang asked quickly. Well, maybe you don't know, but that Dongfang Yu is the sworn enemy of Boss Yin. They both also fought each other once. I quickly came to ask for her help after hearing that, and she agreed without any hesitation after knowing about the hatred between me and Dongfang Yu. As for you, Boss Yin would allow you to work with us because many people know that you were defeated by Dongfang Yu in only 3 strikes. Ling Tianhao said, Is there any animosity between you and Dongfang Yu? Jian Wushuang looked at Ling Tianhao. It's just a trivial matter, but I just really don't like Dongfang Yu. Ling Tianhao said. Jian Wushuang was doubtful and asked, Is Boss Yin's strength very powerful? Of course, she would not even lose a fight with Dongfang Yu. She is the strongest, aside from Dongfang Yu, among all the people who accepted the task for 1-clawed golden dragon guard. Ling Tianhao said, Is that true? It seems that we have found a good backer. Jian Wushuang smiled mysteriously and showed his interest. At that moment, the gray-robed elder in front of the counter, Mr. Hua, came out. Time's up. Now follow me. Everyone, Mr. Hua said, leading everyone directly out of the city. After they were out of Qingdong City, Mr. Hua continued to lead everyone, walking in one direction for most of the day, without stopping. Mouse, since you have accepted the task for 1-clawed golden dragon guard twice, do you know where he is leading us to? Jian Wushuang asked. I don't know. Ling Tianhao shook his head, then continued speaking. The task from the Golden Dragon Palace is different every time. Only after we arrive at the designated place will we be informed of what the task is. So we have no choice but to follow him now. What were your previous 2 tasks? Jian Wushuang continued his questioning. I'm sorry, I can't tell you about the previous tasks. Ling Tianhao said. Why not? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. Because that is the rule of Golden Dragon Palace. Any task from the Golden Dragon Palace is prohibited from being leaked out, and anyone who is found leaking it would likely be executed immediately. Ling Tianhao said seriously, but I can tell you that those 2 tasks were extremely dangerous. It was only with good luck that I was able to survive because most of the people were dead by the time the tasks were completed. After hearing this, Jian Wushuang wore a serious expression. They continued walking for 2 hours before they arrived at a big valley where Mr. was stopped. "Have we arrived?" Jian Wushuang and the others looked around, but all they could see was the vast landscape surrounding them and the huge valley. They could not clearly see what was in the valley. "Mr. Hua, you are really slow." A cold voice was heard as a lofty shadow appeared in front of them. It came from a middle-aged man who had a long red robe and a cold expression. His eyebrows were able to display majesty without losing his temperament. While holding his hands behind his back, he looked over at everyone present with profound eyes. Everything and everyone fell into complete silence when that man appeared. Jian Wushuang, Dongfang Yu, Yin Min, and everyone else who had accepted the one-clawed golden dragon guard task opened their eyes wide, looking at the man in great shock, not because of how powerful and awesome his aura was, but because the man was floating in front of them. Yes, floating in the air. Yin-Yang Void Realm. It's a supreme expert in the Yin-Yang Void Realm, a legendary existence. All the people intently stared at him as he walked through the air. It was evident that the man was a supreme expert who had entered the Yin-Yang Void Realm. The Yin-Yang Void Realm. Jian Wushuang pressed his hands tightly together as his eyes shined brilliantly. The Yin-Yang Void Realm had always been a legend. There were not many experts like him, and it was the first time for Jian Wushuang to see an expert at this level. Golden Dragon Ambassador. Even the enigmatic Mr. Hu showed respect to the man and kept a low profile. "Since you are finally here, we can start working," the man standing in the air said in a low voice. "As you wish, sir." Mr. Hu nodded continuously. Upon hearing this, the old man turned around and suddenly disappeared from everyone's sight. What speed is that? All these people who had not even reached the primordial gold core realm were stunned when they saw this scene. So fast, although I am also very fast due to my understanding of the sword essence of Gale, I am just like a snail compared to this golden dragon ambassador, Wushuang thought. A few loud voices came out from the vast valley as soon as the golden dragon ambassador disappeared. "Who is that?" "This is the land of our Tianhuan sect." "Who are you?" "You should leave now." "Which expert has come to our Tianhuan sect?" The vast valley was the base of the sect. When the golden dragon ambassador was seen intruding into it, a loud warning came out from the valley. But after the expert in that sect learned that the man was an Yin-Yang Void Realm expert who could void walk, his tone became very respectful. At this time, a deafening sound was heard in that vast valley. "Tianhuan sect, how dare you plot against the golden dragon ambassador from our golden dragon palace? Today is the end of your Tianhuan sect." Chapter 49. Chapter 49. Extermination. Boom. A severe explosive sound, like one would only hear during doomsday, burst and erupted from within the deep valley, around which a terrifying and horrible aura was simultaneously released. Afterwards, dozens of roars suddenly sounded from inside. Boom, boom, boom. Severe crashes continuously burst out from the depths of the valley, seemingly causing the heavens and earth to tremble. No one knew what was happening there, including Jian Wushuang and others who stood in astonishment outside the valley. All of them couldn't help holding their breath through the dozens of earth-shaking roars. It was not long before the valley suddenly became tranquil. Whoosh! The middle-aged man with a powerful aura reappeared among them. After glancing at Mr. Hua, he said, "All 14 masters of the Tianhuan sect in the Gold Core realm are dead. You know what to do next." "Yes, Mr. Hua nodded respectfully. "Little guys, try your best," the middle-aged man said as he smiled again at the group, and then left in the direction of Qingdong's city. All the trainees lost focus as they stared at the middle-aged man. Only after he had completely disappeared did they begin to gradually regain control of their thoughts. Suddenly, Mr. Hu announced with a muffled voice, "Now I will tell you the task. Listen carefully." All the trainees in the area made sure to listen thoroughly. The core of the Tianhuan sect, a second-rate sect in Tianan province, is located in the valley in front of you. There are 14 masters who are experts in the gold core realm and many disciples in the spiritual sea realm. However, the 14 masters have already been killed by the Golden Dragon Ambassador, said Mr. Hua. Everyone was shocked into silence. The 14 experts in the gold core realm, in such a short time, they were killed. Amazing! All the expert in the gold core realm were killed in such a short time. So powerful, that is true strength. Everyone was so excited, and they felt their blood begin to boil, even Jian Wushuang. Though the masters are defeated, there are many disciples in the spiritual sea realm and the spirit path. The latter ones can be ignored, but you need to obtain the 10 interspatial rings printed with the symbol of the Tianhuan sect. They are worn by the disciples in the spiritual sea realm. To succeed, each one of you needs to seize one of those rings. You understand? Mr. Hua asked while looking around. All the trainees in the area understood. Only those who obtain one of the interspatial rings will be able to complete the mission, right? This mission doesn't seem so difficult. Someone in the area suddenly murmured. "Only 10 interspatial rings," said Yi Min, frowning slightly. "This mission is more dangerous than the previous ones." Ling Tianhao couldn't help scolding them. Absolutely dangerous. Jian Wushuang wore a grim expression on his face as he spoke. This mission, to start with the numerous warriors in the spiritual sea realm, in the sect, would fight with all their power. But more importantly, there were only 10 rings and over 30 trainees present. Yet, one ring could only be used by one trainee. In other words, over 2/3 of the trainees were doomed to fail. And those who failed to obtain an interspatial ring in order to complete the mission would have to fight with the other trainees. It could also be said that they should pay equal attention to both the spiritual sea realm disciples in the Tianhuan sect, as well as the other trainees from their side. Mr. Hua said, "Now that you know the mission, it's time to get started. Let's go. Kill." The trainees that were already prepared immediately rushed towards the valley. Jian Wushuang and his companions quickly rushed out as well. Whoosh! After leaping rapidly across the ground, 3 people quickly came into view of the great sect gate in the middle of the valley. The Tianhuan sect fell into a panic, and loud noises could be heard from every corner. "Both of you stay close to me. If you move too far away, it's quite possible that you will lose your lives," said Yi Min, glancing at Jian Wushuang and Ling Tianhao. "Okay," said Jian Wushuang with a nod. "Understood." Ling Tianhao also answered and nodded with a grim expression. "Hey, Yi Min, it's rare for you to look so serious, right?" A voice was suddenly heard. Then Dongfang Yu appeared with his 5 followers behind him. Yi Min disdained him and said nothing. Dongfang Yu didn't lose his temper. Glancing at Jian Wushuang and Ling Tianhao, he laughed and then said, "Yi Min, look at your 2 companions. One is joining the One-Clawed Golden Dragon Guard mission for the 3rd time, and the other was defeated by me within less than 3 moves. You actually dared to team up with these 2? This has nothing to do with you. Piss off." Yi Min directly scolded him. Dongfang Yu's expression became quite serious, but he quickly recovered. Ignoring Yi Min, he turned his eyes towards Jian Wushuang. laughing at him as he said, "Hey kid, watch out for your life during this dangerous mission. After all, trash like you can easily die inside the Tianhuan sect." Then Dongfang Yu and his followers quickly rushed inside the Tianhuan sect. What? Jian Wushuang thought. He watched with a weird expression as Dongfang Yu left. At the Golden Dragon subsidiary palace, I didn't want to risk being noticed by people from Blood Feather Tower. Because of that, I pretended to lose. But I didn't expect him to look down on me so much. Jian Wushuang touched his nose and shook his head with a smile. Then, he immediately raced towards the Tianhuan sect together with Yin Min and Ling Tianhao. The moment they stepped into the Tianhuan sect, the warriors in the sect sensed their arrival. Damn, people from the Golden Dragon Palace came to exterminate my Tianhuan sect. Keep dreaming. I grew up in the Tianhuan sect. My whole life is here. If you plan to destroy my sect, you will have to step over my dead body first. Kill them. Kill them. Kill all the invaders. Stay with the sect. Many loud roars could be heard in the Tianhuan sect. They had cultivated many loyal warriors. Though the 14 experts of the Gold Core realm were dead, the warriors and disciples in the Spiritual Sea realm chose to stay with the sect and fight for it, instead of escaping. Therefore, numerous disciples in the Spiritual Sea realm from the Tianhuan sect madly rushed towards the invaders. A violent fight was about to erupt. Chapter 50. Chapter 50. Slaughter. The large group of trainees who had accepted the mission immediately split up after entering the Tianhuan sect. Some teamed up, while others began rampaging alone. The disciples of the Tianhuan sect also rose up in resistance. Jian Wushuang and his companions had just arrived in one of the yards in the Tianhuan sect when they saw tens of shadows charging at them, all of them in the Spiritual Sea realm. "You too, follow me closely," Yin Min ordered coldly. Gripping her scarlet long spear, she immediately dashed forward. Jian Wushuang nodded at Ling Tianhao and followed Yin Min, his expression a little cold. Invaders! The sight of these three instantly triggered the killing intent of the Tianhuan sect disciples. Kill them! Tens of shadows rushed toward them. Swish! A blurry spear shadow charged towards them, like a viper sticking out its tongue at its prey. For a moment, the lightning-fast spear seemed to create an environment in which snowflakes were gently falling. It gave the spear a poignant feeling. Slash, 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 slash. The spear pierced 5 necks at once, leaving 5 corpses collapsed on the ground. This skill, Jian Wushuang couldn't help being surprised when he saw this. These disciples of the Tianhuan sect were only in the initial and profound Spiritual Sea realm, so it was not hard for Yin Min in the exceptional Spiritual Sea realm to kill them, but it was so much more difficult to kill 5 with one strike. What Yin Min demonstrated earlier caused his eyes to light up. Kill! The death of their fellow disciples didn't slow down the remaining ones. They rushed forward and launched a series of attacks towards Jian Wushuang and his companions. Jian Wushuang swung the triple kill sword in his hand at 2 disciples. With 2 clean slashes, he easily ended the lives of the 2 who were only in the initial Spiritual Sea realm. Holding his dark dagger, Ling Tianhao quietly stabbed the disciples charging at him. He was incredibly fast in killing 2 of them. The rest were all killed by Yin Min. It took mere moments for the tens of Tianhuan sect disciples to meet their death. They're too weak. Jian Wushuang could not help sighing when he saw all the dead bodies on the ground. The Tianhuan sect was considered a second-rate sect in the Tianan province, yet it was far more powerful than Sword Marquis Mansion. But after the deaths of their 14 Gold Core Realm experts, the ending was basically written in stone. The remaining disciples were all in the spiritual sea realm, with the majority in the initial and profound level. Rarely were any of them at the exceptional level. Unfortunately for them, those who accepted this mission were all at the exceptional level. They also possessed their own personal techniques. After all, anyone who accepted this mission despite knowing its extreme danger would certainly come prepared. Ling Tianhao, for example, might be one of the weakest among the participants who accepted the mission. But if you put him among the Tianhuan sect disciples who were at the exceptional spiritual sea realm, few could defeat him. None of the people I killed has an interspatial ring. What about you guys? Min asked, looking over at them. None here. Jian Wushuang shook his head. Me neither. Ling Tianhao shrugged. This didn't come as a big surprise to them. After all, there were only a total of 10 rings. For how precious and rare they were, they ought to be at least worn by disciples in the exceptional spiritual sea realm. And none of those that they killed were at that level. Let's go, Min said. The three of them then walked toward the depths of the Tianhuan sect. They did not even glance at the corpses on the ground. Though they felt sympathy for the Tianhuan sect disciples, they would never show any mercy in a fight. After all, they were on different sides. If they showed mercy, then the corpses lying on the ground would be theirs. Inside an underground secret room in the Tianhuan sect, there were 8 people wearing robes standing inside the room, wearing copper masks that only showed their eyes. A person wearing a black robe and a silver mask sat on a stone chair. Thud! The door to the secret room opened, and a purple-haired old man came running in, panicking. He shouted anxiously, "Please, my lords, I beg you, help save our Tianhuan sect." The one wearing a silver mask looked up, revealing his pair of cold eyes as he looked at the purple-haired old man. He said indifferently, "What's going on outside?" "They're here. Men from Golden Dragon Palace are here. There are many warriors in the exceptional spiritual sea realm. Not only that, our leader and many of our elders are already dead. We don't have a single expert in the Gold Core realm that is still alive. We simply can't hold up against those warriors. So please help us." The old man didn't even finish his sentence before he collapsed on the ground with a bloodstain on his neck. Beside him, a man wearing a copper mask was slowly sheathing his sword. "My lord, what should we do next?" a copper-masked servant asked. 3 years ago, the Tianhuan sect leaked some information scheming against a Golden Dragon ambassador. It was supposed to be a secret, but it was still discovered by the Golden Dragon Palace. Their intelligence work is truly amazing. The man with the silver mask continued coldly. Since it has been discovered, the Tianhuan sect is bound to be exterminated. As for us, naturally it's best if we can avoid exposing ourselves. Those who were sent here now are only in the exceptional spiritual sea realm. If I estimate correctly, they're part of a one-clawed Golden Dragon Guard mission. Those rookies may not even discover this place if we stay here. And if they really do end up finding us, the Golden Dragon Ambassador would already be gone by then. Without the Golden Dragon Ambassador hindering us, it's impossible for those rookies to stand in our way. They were all afraid of the Golden Dragon Ambassador, who was in the Yin-Yang Void realm. The man with the silver mask was not an exception. When the Golden Dragon Ambassador was fighting with others, he did not discover them because the robed men were good at hiding their auras and were hidden in this secret room. In his opinion, the high and mighty Golden Dragon Ambassador would be so bored as to stay back and watch the rookies wrap up the mission after he finished killing all the Gold Core realm experts. But what a pity that the extermination of the Tianhuan sect means we've lost a chess piece. The man wearing the silver mask shook his head and sighed. The black robe and that facial mask. They were obvious symbols of Blood Feather Tower, the strongest assassination association of the Tianzong dynasty. Chapter 51. Chapter 51. The First Interspatial Ring. In the Tianhuan sect, Qi, a long spear stabbed through the throat of a Tianhuan sect disciple without making a sound. Then, with an abrupt sweep, it heavily hacked towards two more disciples, making them step back. If you don't want to be killed, then leave. Yin Min, a nifty girl with a long spear in her hands, wore a cold expression while criticizing them. However, several Tianhuan sect disciples ignored her words and lunged at her, immediately attacking with their knives and swords. "Kill them," Yin Min said in a cold voice. A flash of coldness appeared in the eyes of Jian Wushuang and Ling Tianhao, but suddenly, a cold voice, and three auras rushed into the battle. These cultivators were stronger than previous Tianhuan sect disciples. Three people at the level of exceptional spiritual C. The arrival of these three caused Jian Wushuang's expression to change. Since they came to the Tianhuan sect, they had encountered three groups of Tianhuan sect disciples who just reached the level of profound spiritual C realm and the initial realm. They had yet to encounter a single disciple at the exceptional spiritual C realm, not to mention encountering three of them at the same time. "You two protect yourselves," Yin Min said in a low voice. Then, the long spear in her hands danced through the air like flashing stars and drifting snow as it struck towards two of the disciples at the exceptional spiritual C realm. "Howsy, leave the exceptional spiritual C realm disciple to me. As for the others, it's up to you to handle them," Jian Wushuang said in a low voice. "Yes," Ling Tianhao said, and nodded. Although he had to fight against several Tianhuan sect disciples at the same time, these disciples were only at the level of profound spiritual C realm or initial spiritual C realm and were no threat to him. Those three at the exceptional spiritual C realm that could threaten him had been blocked by Yin Min and Jian Wushuang. "How dare you two guys blocked me?" Yin Min laughed loudly, and then she furiously hacked towards the two people at exceptional spiritual C realm with the long red spear, blasting them with hazy spear shadows. Both of them realized how ruthless and tyrannical Yin Min was as they fended her off with all their strength. However, they were no match for Yin Min's spear skills. Though fighting against two enemies, Yin Min still gained the upper hand. "Be careful, she is strong," said a person at exceptional spiritual C realm, seriously. She is only at the level of exceptional spiritual C realm. Why should we be afraid of her when we have a 2-to-1 advantage? Let's kill her." The other one sniffed, and then they lunged at Yin Min again. A giant axe was shown in front of Yin Min and hacked towards her. Meanwhile, a flash of dark gold sword light appeared in front of Yin Min, traveling 10 meters in an instant. "How ridiculous!" Yin Min laughed as the look in her eyes abruptly turned cold. Divine spear of dripping blood. Clang, clang, clang. Two flashes of spear shadow struck out, successively, faster than those two people expected. And then those two flashes of spear shadow stabbed into the area between the eyebrows of both disciples, immediately killing them. "Good girl, Yin Min has a good command of her spearmanship." Jian Wushuang was still fighting with the other disciple at exceptional spiritual C realm, but he saw everything that happened, especially when Yin Min killed other two disciples at exceptional spiritual C realm on her own. "It seems that I should also show a little bit of my ability." Jian Wushuang smiled faintly while looking at his enemy. "Die." Only Jian Wushuang could hear his light voice. The disciple at exceptional spiritual C realm saw a flash of cold sword light in front of him, rapidly approaching his eyes. It was too fast for him to resist quickly piercing through his throat. Meanwhile, Ling Tianhao also defeated his enemies. Swordsman not bad. How did you kill someone at exceptional spiritual sea realm on your own? Yin Min asked while looking at Jian Wushuang with startled eyes. Ha, I just have a good luck, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Really? Yin Min raised her eyebrow, but didn't continue asking. Chapter 52. Chapter 52. Stealing benefits from others. Get out of here. Seeing those 4 people rushing towards her, Yin Min angrily howled and raised the red long spear up high, hacking towards them with amazing power. The heavy spear's shadow immediately swept towards those 4 people. What? Those 4 people changed their faces while resisting Yin Min's spear. Then, the 4 people were knocked back over 10 meters by Yin Min before they regained their footing. Whoosh, whoosh, Jian Wushuang and Ling Tianhao immediately appeared beside Yin Min. Do you want to kill people on your own side? Jian Wushuang said in a cold voice. That interspatial ring should have belonged to us, but you guys snatched it. Those 4 people all had grim expressions as a burly man, the leader of them, growled, If you guys are wise, then hand over the interspatial ring, or we'll. Otherwise, Yin Min sneered and said, More than 30 people received the task, but only 10 interspatial rings exist. That means most of the people can't complete the task. This is a competition between us, and the interspatial ring is in my hand. If you want to grab it, just come try. But who will get the ring hasn't been decided yet. Those 4 burly men felt unpleasant. They had just fought with Yin Min and realized that Yin Min's strength was stronger than any of them. Even killing 2 of them on her own was a piece of cake. Besides her, there were Jian Wushuang and Ling Tianhao. They would probably suffer if they fought with them. Let's go. The burly man snorted, and then those 4 people reluctantly left. Jian Wushuang and other 2 couldn't help laughing when they saw the group leaving. It's lucky for them to leave. Otherwise, it's possible 1 or 2 of them would be killed by me and Swordsman, not to mention Sister Yin. Fighting against 3 on her own is no problem at all, Ling Tianhao said with a smile. Fighting against 3 on my own? Yin Min shook her head and said, You think too highly of me. Those who dare to receive a Golden Dragon Guard task are stronger than we imagine. Fighting 2 is possible, but 3 is not realistic. All right, don't talk about it anymore. We have been fighting for a long time. Now, we finally have an interspatial ring. Give this one to me, and if we obtain more interspatial ring, they will belong to you too. How's it? Yin Min turned to Jian Wushuang and Ling Tianhao. No problem, Jian Wushuang said, and nodded. Of course I agree, replied Ling Tianhao with a smile. It was obvious that Yin Min was the biggest contributor to the battle. She was also the oldest among them, so giving the first ring to her was only proper. Okay, let's go on. It hasn't been long since the slaughter started, so we have many opportunities to find more interspatial rings, Yin Min said. Yes. Both Jian Wushuang and Ling Tianhao agreed and nodded. The slaughter in the Tianhuan sect continued, becoming even crazier as time passed. Jian Wushuang and other 2 had already been in the Tianhuan sect for an hour. Jian Wushuang and other 2 suddenly looked up from the corridor and saw a fierce battle ahead of them. There were 2 sides in the battle. One side, disciples of the Tianhuan sect, and on the other side, their acquaintances that also came for the Golden Dragon Palace task. It's those 4, Jian Wushuang said. Those people fighting against the Tianhuan sect disciples were the stout man and his 3 companions that they had just met. The first interspatial ring Yin Min got was from them. They are in a bad situation, Jian Wushuang said in a low voice. They could clearly see that those 4 people were in a bad situation because over 20 Tianhuan sect disciples were fighting against them. Among them were 5 disciples at exceptional spiritual C realm. These 4 guys are really unlucky. It's unbelievable they were attacked by so many Tianhuan sect disciples, Yin Min said and sneered. Look, Sister Yin and Swordsman, that man's right hand, Ling Tianhao suddenly exclaimed. Jian Wushuang and Yin Min looked in the direction Ling Tianhao pointed. They saw a Tianhuan sect disciple at exceptional spiritual C realm wearing a lilac ring on his right index finger, an interspatial ring. Yin Min felt surprised and said, "Ha, the second interspatial ring has appeared. Let's do it. First, we'll join hands with those 4 men to kill the Tianhuan sect disciples. Then we grab the interspatial ring." Yes, both Jian Wushuang and Ling Tianhao agreed and nodded. The 3 of them immediately rushed into the battle. 3 more bastards. Kill them. The Tianhuan sect disciples were crazy with bloodlust, immediately attacking Jian Wushuang and the other 2 as soon as they saw them. The pressure on the other 4, who had been under siege this whole time, was suddenly reduced by a large amount. It's them. The stout man changed his face after seeing Jian Wushuang and quickly said, "Run. We should get away while the Tianhuan sect disciples are fighting with them." What? The other 3 men froze. Why should we leave? If we join hands with them, it is completely possible to kill all these Tianhuan sect disciples and grab the interspatial ring, a purple-dressed woman asked. Our alliance surely can kill all of the Tianhuan sect disciples. But after that, can we get the interspatial ring? Don't forget that Yin Min just defeated us on her own. There is also Swordsman and that Ling Tianhao, who has reached the exceptional spiritual C realm. We are no match for them at all if we fight against them, the stout man said with a chilly expression. Instead of joining hands with them and then letting them take the interspatial ring, it would be better leave now and observe them secretly. After they finish the life and death struggle against the Tianhuan sect disciples, we can show up and obtain the ring without any effort. Good idea. Both sides will suffer great losses in such a fierce battle. Whoever wins the battle will be weakened, and then we can easily defeat either side at that time. I agree too. The other 3 soon agreed with the stout man. Chapter 53. Chapter 53. Jian Wushuang showing his strength. Since all of you have agreed, let's go, said the sturdy man, as a chilling smile appeared on his face. Then he quickly turned around and disappeared into the corridor with his companions, leaving Jian Wushuang and the other 2 to fight with the pack of Tianhuan sect disciples. Bastards! Damn it! Seeing that, Yin Min and Ling Tianhao cursed in rage, with a peevish expression on their faces. This is troublesome. Jian Wushuang also felt a little worried. Including those 4, along with Jian Wushuang, Yin Min, and Ling Tianhao, if these 7 exceptional spiritual C realm masters fought together, they would easily defeat these Tianhuan sect disciples. However, with those 4 leaving, the remaining 3 had to fight with 5 exceptional spiritual C realm disciples, a dozen profound spiritual C realm and initial spiritual C realm Tianhuan sect disciples. The situation was instantly at its worst. Ha! Your companions seem to have abandoned you. Poor guys, prepare to get trashed. All the disciples of the Tianhuan sect laughed at Jian Wushuang and the other 2, lunging at them directly. Swordsman, Haozi, let's fight. Yin Min shouted to Jian Wushuang and desperately rushed into the battlefield. I'll take 3 exceptional spiritual C realm disciples. I'll count on you to handle the rest 2, several profound spiritual C realm and initial realm disciples, Yin Min said in a deep voice. It was her ultimate limit to fight with 3 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples at the same time. Let me take these 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples. Jian Wushuang's words surprised Yin Min. Before she could reply, Jian Wushuang ran in front of her with amazing speed and collided with the Tianhuan sect disciples. Whoosh! Suddenly, a bright, dazzling sword light swept across the 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples simultaneously. What? How dare he fight with all 5 of us at the same time? He must be suicidal. Kill him! Those 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples became furious and lunged towards Jian Wushuang. But when the dazzling sword light swept, zooming, the horrible sword essence rose suddenly and sharply. Watch out! The 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples hurriedly changed from attack to defense. But when they came into contact with the sword light, these 5 figures fell back with 5 loud thumps. Shoop! 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 The wild sword shadows almost instantaneously spurted from Jian Wushuang's hands. The amazing speed of Aurora swordsmanship had soared to an incredible level ever since Jian Wushuang comprehended the sword essence of Gale. It's so fast! Amazing! Be careful! The Tianhuan disciples shouted with voices full of fear. Although the 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples tried their best to withstand the sword shadows, the sword shadows were too fast and arrived too quickly. Even though the sword shadows swept to 5 of them at the same time, it was still too fast to resist. Clang! 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 The sounds of clanks were heard one after another. The 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples were hit by dozens of sword attacks, and 3 of them seemed to be unable to parry. Beep! A sword flash swept towards the throat of those 3 disciples. Chi! The 3 figures immediately fell backward. Damn it! Run! Seeing that, the Tianhuan sect disciples began escaping crazily with almost no hesitation. The 2 remaining exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples also lost the courage to fight with Jian Wushuang. The only thing they could do was run. He's too strong. Even with 5 of us together, his swordsmanship was so fast that he killed 3 of us in the blink of an eye. We'll all die here if we do not run. The 2 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples were aware of the insurmountable gap between Jian Wushuang and them. Naturally, they did not dare to fight with Jian Wushuang anymore. Run! A cold voice without a hint of emotion rang out near one of the exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples. The disciple raised his head in horror, only to find Jian Wushuang standing in front of him and the triple kill sword stuck in him. No, the disciple only had time to make an unwilling roar before he was immediately killed. You are the owner of the interspatial ring. I can't let you get away from me. After killing the exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciple, Jian Wushuang grinned and took the interspatial ring off the disciple's finger. As for the Tianhuan sect disciples that escaped, Jian Wushuang was not in the mood to chase after them. Swordsman! Swordsman! Jian Wushuang turned his head, finding Yin Min and Ling Tianhao with stunned expressions on their faces that were hard to describe. Jian Wushuang stroked his nose and then laughed in his sleeve. Last time, he deliberately lost to Dongfang Yu, so he would not stand out, making people think he was weak. And during the mission this time, he still hadn't found a good chance to prove his ability because of Yin Min. He had finally reached the point where he could not hide it anymore. His strength shocked Yin Min and Ling Tianhao. Jian Wushuang killed 4 real exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples in an instant. What kind of strength was that? Yin Min knew that if she fought against 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples, she could barely resist for a while before eventually losing. In the end, She would die even if she killed one of two of them by risking her life, which meant that Jian Wushuang's strength was much more tremendous than hers. Haha, swordsman, I admire you so much. When Ling Tianhao regained himself, he laughed and gave Jian Wushuang a bear hug. Swordsman, you hid your strength this whole time? Yimin asked seriously. Yes, Jian Wushuang said, and nodded. There was no sense in denying it now. You fought with 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples on your own and killed 4 of them in a short time. This level of strength is not something me or Dongfang you can compare with. Swordsman, you disguised yourself pretty well, Yimin said with a smile. The 4 who abandoned Jian Wushuang, Yimin, and Ling Tianhao, gloating as they were surrounded by the Tianhuan sect disciples, were still very close. They were hiding in a room near the courtyard and heard everything Jian Wushuang and Yimin said. Chapter 54. Chapter 54. Haunting like a ghost. You'll see, even though Yimin boasts immense strength, there is a large number of Tianhuan sect disciples at the level of profound spiritual Sea Realm and Initial Realm, as well as 5 disciples at exceptional spiritual Sea Realm. This kind of battle will definitely make them suffer, the stout man said gloatingly. But only a short while later they saw Jian Wushuang kill 4 of the exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples swiftly and cruelly, while the remaining Tianhuan sect disciples fled. The 4 of them were stunned. It's impossible. Unbelievable. That swordsman, how could he be so strong? I can't believe that he killed 4 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples in such a short time. How could that happen? The 4 of them felt it was impossible. Meanwhile, they recalled the words they heard in Golden Dragon Subsidiary Palace. It was about Dongfang Yu defeating Jian Wushuang in only 3 moves. Today, we personally witnessed swordsman's strength. How was it possible that he couldn't resist Dongfang Yu? You must be kidding me. I would rather believe that Dongfang Yu was defeated by him in 3 moves, roared the stout man. How could his incredible strength be overcome by Dongfang Yu in 3 moves? That was ridiculous. It is a relief that we didn't have a real conflict with them, or the stout man spoke in a relaxing tone. He counted himself fortunate to have never turned against Yimin, even when she took interspatial ring away from him. He felt terrified when he thought of Jian Wushuang's immense power. Go, be quick, the stout man roared. We should keep away from these 3 people until the mission is finished. All in all, we used them just now, and they might hold a grudge against us. I'm afraid that they will fight against us next time. Go, hurry up. The others nodded and intended to escape in panic. Hey, do you see that? Said the woman in purple. The strong man turned his head at once. Suddenly his expression became weird. It's them. It's Dongfang Yu and his followers. They arrived just now and met swordsman just in time. The 4 were just about ready to leave, but at this moment their steps suddenly stopped. On the corridor, Jian Wushuang and his companions also noticed Dongfang Yu and his followers. It's Dongfang Yu. Yimin and Ling Tianhao glanced at Jian Wushuang with queer complexions. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and smiled slightly, but said nothing. Dongfang Yu, you are like a ghost, constantly haunting us, Yimin said in a cold voice and cast a glance towards Dongfang Yu. Yimin, I'm surprised that the 2 trash following you are still alive. Lucky guys. Dongfang Yu appeared in front of them, speaking with an arrogant voice. Let's get to the point. Yimin, since you guys have been in the Tianhuan sect for a while now, I bet you have an interspatial ring, right? Interspatial ring, Yimin said with a sneer. Then she stretched out her right hand as a light purple ring shined dazzlingly on her 4th finger. Here it is. If you want it, come and take it. at the sight of the interspatial ring on Yin Min's hand. The eyes of the 5 people behind Dongfang Yu brightened, and a flash of heat appeared in their eyes. "Oh, you really do have one, but only one ring." Dongfang Yu sneered at her and turned his head to his 5 followers. Then he said, "Let's go." The people following Dongfang Yu hesitated, but eventually they left with him. However, Dongfang Yu glanced at Jian Wushuang and Ling Tianhao as he left and said in a low voice, "You 2 trash are very lucky to have Yin Min as your pillar, but there are only 10 interspatial rings. Even I only managed to get one of them. How dare you expect to get them?" Dongfang Yu left once he finished speaking. What a contemptuous look, but he would never think that our swordsman has the 2nd interspatial ring, Ling Tianhao said before pursing his lips. "I'm surprised he didn't bother us. That was my fault. I should have given the ring to you. How's he?" If Dongfang Yu knew an interspatial ring was in your hands, he would definitely try to take it from you, without hesitation. She was definitely hoping to see Dongfang Yu try to take the ring just now. If he had started a fight, Jian Wushuang would have instantly given him a lesson. But Dongfang Yu had no desire to snatch the interspatial ring when he saw that it was in her possession. Things would totally change if the interspatial ring was Ling Tianhao's. "How's he, the 2nd interspatial ring? It's yours." Jian Wushuang gave the ring to Ling Tianhao. "Swordsman, what happened to you?" Ling Tianhao looked at Jian Wushuang in astonishment, instead of accepting the ring. "I need you 2 to do me a favor." Jian Wushuang said directly. "How can we help you?" Yin Min also turned to face him. "See this attic?" Jian Wushuang stared at the attic beside him and said with a smile, "I want to cultivate alone in this attic with no interruptions. So I need you 2 to safeguard me." "Cultivate. You want to cultivate now." Yin Min and Ling Tianhao both felt astonished. "Did you have a breakthrough?" Yin Min asked spontaneously. "Yes," Jian Wushuang said, and nodded. "Really?" Yin Min and Ling Tianhao were both surprised. They believed the fighting capacity of Jian Wushuang was already incredible among people in the spiritual sea realm. If he made a breakthrough, he would probably reach the gold core. Primordial gold core, a level they hope to reach someday. "I need some time to cultivate, but I don't know how long I will need. Maybe our mission will finish before I'm done with my cultivation. So the 2nd interspatial ring naturally belongs to you, Hauzi. After all, it's your last chance to attempt the Golden Dragon Guard mission. If you fail, you will never be able to become a Golden Dragon Guard for the rest of your life." "But it's not the same for me," Jian Wushuang said while smiling. "I see." Ling Tianhao understood, so he nodded his head with a smile and said, "Thanks a lot. You can count on us to guard this area. We won't let anyone disturb you." "Thanks," said Jian Wushuang. Then he smiled and went straight into the attic. Yin Min and Ling Tianhao stood guard in front of the attic. The stout man and his companions witnessed it all because they were still near the courtyard. What is Swordsman doing? Why did he go into the attic? Did he suddenly comprehend something? Is he going to make a breakthrough? Will he reach the gold core? Their complexions became uneasy. The strength of Jian Wushuang was already so terrifying. What kind of level would he reach after he made a breakthrough? Don't mind what he does. From now on, if we meet the 3 of them, we turn round immediately, the stout man said, and left with the others in a hurry. Chapter 55. Chapter 55. Breakthrough into the ultimate spiritual sea. It was true Jian Wushuang was about to achieve a breakthrough, but not in the way that Yin Min and the others thought he would. The breakthrough was not into the gold core, but the spiritual sea realm. No one knew that Jian Wushuang, who could easily kill an expert that had achieved the exceptional spiritual sea realm, had not even entered the realm yet. He sat cross-legged inside the attic, where a boundless spiritual power was beginning to come together inside his body. Having reached the top of the 9th heaven of divine path 3 months ago, his breakthrough would happen at any given time. Earlier, while fighting 3 experts of the exceptional spiritual sea realm, he unexpectedly noticed signs that his spiritual power was about to break through. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a breakthrough. Naturally, he did not dare to make any delays. Others are in the realm of spiritual sea, but I'm in the ultimate spiritual sea. Jian Wushuang smiled. In the first place, the heavenly creation skill was heaven-defying cultivation method. Cultivating the skill was an act in defiance of the natural order. With every step, he was defying nature and becoming extraordinary. Ordinary martial arts who cultivated the spirit path were in the spiritual realm of 7 realms of spirit steps. Martial artists cultivating the heavenly creation skill, on the other hand, was in the 9 heavens of divine path. The typical warrior would be in the spiritual sea from spiritual power, while those who cultivated the heavenly creation skill would break through into the ultimate spiritual sea. I wonder what's the so-called expansion of the ultimate spiritual sea. Jian Wushuang felt excited. Inside him, his condensed spiritual power was charging at the barrier of his breakthrough, crashing into it. The spiritual power only made impact several times for breaking the barrier. The rest of his spiritual power instantly flowed into all his tendons and vessels. Here came the ultimate spiritual sea. He finally understood the ultimate spiritual sea really was after the breakthrough. It's the amount of spiritual power. I've only broken through into the spiritual sea realm, but there's so much more spiritual power in my body. I'd say it's 10 times more than the ordinary spiritual sea realm warrior. Surprise crossed his face. Compared with the spiritual sea from spiritual power of ordinary warriors, the spiritual power of ultimate spiritual sea is vaster. The spiritual sea realm was divided into 3 levels, namely the initial, profound, and exceptional realm. There would be a vast improvement in spiritual power in every level advancement, but it was a different story for ultimate spiritual sea. Instead of having the profound realm and initial realm stages, the ultimate spiritual sea had 3 levels that increased the amount of spiritual power with each advancement. Now that Jian Wushuang had entered the first level of the ultimate spiritual sea, his spiritual power was 10 times the amount of spiritual sea realm warrior. In stage 2 of the ultimate spiritual sea, his spiritual power would be 100 times the amount of spiritual sea realm warriors. If he reached stage 3, then his spiritual power could be described as truly endless. The amount of spiritual power available should not be taken lightly. Warriors need a strong foundation of spiritual power whether to fight with others or display their martial arts. If they exhaust their spiritual power from a prolonged battle or tricky martial arts, they could only wait to be killed. And what did an endless spiritual power meant? That meant if he was fighting someone of a similar strength, he could rely on his endless spiritual power to prolong the battle and wait for his opponent to exhaust his own. This was truly an unbelievably strong advantage. However, through all 3 levels of the ultimate spiritual sea, only the amount of spiritual power would increase and not strengthen itself. That was to say, his spiritual force outbreak would remain consistent throughout. This was unlike ordinary spiritual sea realm warriors who would see a great improvement in their spiritual power outbreak with each level breakthrough. But that did not bother Jian Wushuang. It's only normal that spiritual power outbreak doesn't improve. After all, his spiritual power outbreak was already comparable to that of the exceptional spiritual sea realm when he was at the peak of the 9th heaven of divine path. If his spiritual power increased to its peak after achieving the final level of the ultimate spiritual sea, Could anyone still survive after fighting him? My spiritual power outbreak. He closed his eyes and made a fist. He felt the explosive power in his hand, experiencing a far stronger energy than he had ever felt. A smile came to his face. I've now broken through into the ultimate spiritual sea. Though I won't see any improvements in my spiritual power outbreak in the second and third stage in the future, my current spiritual power outbreak is now good enough to surpass an expert of the Gold Core realm. He was only in the first level of the ultimate spiritual sea, yet he had spiritual power outbreak of a primordial Gold Core. His spiritual power, in particular, surpassed that of ordinary spiritual sea realm warriors. This was the ultimate cultivation of the sky after the expansion of the ultimate spiritual sea. Just as Jian Wushuang was marveling at his breakthrough, something else was going on in the underground secret chamber of the Tianhuan sect. Shadows wrapped in black robes appeared one after another. The screams above are getting fainter. Looks like the fighting is coming to an end in the Tianhuan sect, a man with silver mask said. The warriors of the Golden Dragon Palace have been fighting above for nearly 2 hours, enough time for them to wipe out the entire sect twice. Most spiritual sea realm warriors of the Tianhuan sect had already been slaughtered. Most who remained had already fled, with only a handful still scattered in the corners of the sect. Basically, the fight was about to be over very soon. But just then, something happened. Boom! The door to the secret room was kicked open, followed by the sound of hearty laughter. Ha! I didn't expect there's a secret room inside the Tianhuan sect. What's in this room? All the robed men inside the secret room instantly became cold when they heard the laughter. The door of the secret room opened, and 4 shadows stepped one after another. If Jian Wushuang were here, he would definitely recognize them at a glance, for they were the ones who had framed him in the past. The minute the 4 men stepped into the secret room, the 9 robed men all glared at them with a deadly coldness. The silver-masked man's gaze was even more severe, piercing enough to stab a human heart like a sword. Oh! Feeling the glares of the robed men, the 4 men seemed like their hearts had momentarily stopped beating. That stout man opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but in that instant, the silver-masked man instantly disappeared. When he reappeared again, he was already standing behind the stout man. The stout man's eyes rounded. He felt a warm sensation in his throat and found only gushing warm blood when he touched his throat. Thud! The 4 intruders collapsed on the ground. The silver-masked man suddenly spoke, his cold voice reverberating inside the secret room. Since we're already exposed, there's no longer any need to hide. Follow me and just kill our way out. I'd like to see who dares stop me. Chapter 56. Chapter 56. Death to those who stop me. Dongfang Yu stood on the roof of an attic, looking cold. He had 5 experts following him earlier, but now one was missing. There were too many spiritual sea realm warriors in the Tianhuan sect. Though Dongfang Yu and his 5 companions of the exceptional spiritual sea realm were strong, it was not enough for them to rampage through the sect. Not too long ago, they even lost one of their companions in a fierce battle. It's been 2 hours. Those Tianhuan sect warriors that weren't dead had all fled. There aren't many of them left. We've found 3 interspatial ring. I suppose the rest have found the remaining 7, said Dongfang Yu. The 4 people behind him appeared grim. Dongfang Yu would definitely claim one of the 3 things, while they had to share the remaining 2. 2 of them were destined to go back empty-handed, failing to accomplish the mission. These 2 interspatial ring. Dongfang Yu was just about to assign the rings between themselves. Boom! When they felt a terrifying aura suddenly emerging, the 5 of them immediately turned toward the source of the aura. They saw robed shadows appearing one after another, all wearing masks and bearing intense murderous intentions. The one who was the most striking was the man with the silver mask. He was the source of the terrifying aura they felt earlier, so strong that Dongfang Yu could not help the change in his expression. Gold core. It's an expert of the gold core realm. There's actually an expert of the gold core realm in the Tianhuan sect. Everyone from the Golden Dragon Palace was also shocked after sensing the fearsome aura. The difference between the primordial gold core and the spiritual sea realm was like heaven and earth. Even Dongfang Yu, who was close to achieving the gold core, would be defeated by an expert of gold core realm. Worse, he could even be instantly killed. The fearsome aura burst forth from within the silver-masked man, seemingly forming a great storm. When the man charged forward, the storm seemed to be swept away. "Death to those who stop me," the man roared, creating a commotion in the Tianhuan sect that had just recently fallen into a brief silence. "Let's go, fast," Dongfang Yu said, together with his 4 companions. He jumped off the roof in haste and disappeared. He was afraid to even show up in the robed men's line of sight for fear of them targeting him. Whoosh! A figure abruptly appeared before the group of robed men. It was none other than the gray-clothed elder, Mr. Hua. "Are you people from the Blood Feather Tower?" Mr. Hua appeared grim. He did not expect there would be so many assassins of the Blood Feather Tower to be hidden within the Tianhuan sect. "Good that you know." The silver-masked man relaxed when he saw the man before him was a mere gold core warrior and realized that the Golden Dragon ambassador was gone. He sneered and said, "Our Blood Feather Tower doesn't intend on making enemies with the Golden Dragon Palace. Today, you're here to destroy the Tianhuan sect. That has nothing to do with us. We just so happen to witness it. In that case, then I ask you that you leave immediately. In addition, you're not to fight with these rookies who have just accepted the mission of the Golden Dragon Guard. Otherwise, Mr. was said in a low voice. As the #1 assassination organization of Tianzhong Dynasty, the Blood Feather Tower did not have a pervasive influence in the Tianan province, but it was better not to provoke them if there was not a need to. "Don't worry. We just want to leave this place. We naturally won't hurt them as long as they don't stop us." The silver-masked man smiled. He glanced at the 8 black-robed men beside him and said, "Let's go. Kill anyone who dares to get in our way." "Yes." Their figures blurring into mere shadows, the black-robed men jumped onto the pavilion roof and started leaping from one roof to another. Whether it was the remaining Tianhuan sect disciples or the rookies from the Golden Dragon Palace, none dared to stop the impressive sight of an expert of Gold Core realm leading 8 exceptional spiritual sea realm warriors. Just then, Jian Wushuang had stepped out of the attic after breaking through into the ultimate spiritual sea. The moment he came out, he instantly sensed the terrifying aura permeating the Tianhuan sect. He immediately leaped to the roof, finding Yin Min and Ling Tianhao already there. "Those are..." Yin Min and Ling Tianhao noticed many robed silhouettes leaping across roofs, charging in their direction. They were particularly frightened by the terrifying aura bursting from the silver-masked man. They both immediately recognized the silver-masked man. It's a gold core standout. 1 gold core and 8 profound spiritual sea realm warriors. They're heading in our direction. Let's retreat. They did not hesitate and also warned Jian Wushuang. "Swordsman, hurry up and leave." But Jian Wushuang did not show any signs of wanting to escape. He remained rooted in place, staring coolly at the robed shadows before him. "Black robes, masks, Blood Feather Tower." He muttered these 3 words through gritted teeth as a burning killing intent raged within him. "OM." He swiped at the men with a ringing sound, releasing his sword essence. The majestic stream of murderous intention and sword essence merged together to be one and flew up to the ninth heaven. The incomparably mysterious power within his body, the power of sword soul, in his body seemed to be gradually awakening at the same time. Jian Wushuang had unsheathed his triple kill sword in a flash and stood coolly on the roof of the attic as if he was the king of swordsmanship, dominating everyone's lives and deaths, drawing everyone's attention to him. Swordsman, hurry up and go! Yin Min and Ling Tianhao were surprised to see Jian Wushuang not escaping. Instead, he was standing there bearing a strong intention to battle it out with the robed men. In every corner of the Tianhuan sect, the surviving warriors who had accepted the mission were all standing on rooftops. They had also spotted the figure emitting a strong fighting desire. It's him. It's the swordsman. These people recognized Jian Wushuang. What is this trash trying to do? He must have gone mad with fear. 8 of those black-robed men were exceptional spiritual Sea Realm warriors, and the last was even an expert of Gold Core Realm. He should have retreated after seeing such a group. Dongfang Yu said, he's really digging his own grave. Chapter 57. Chapter 57. Swordsman, Outburst of Power. On the roof, Jian Wushuang had the aura of a master swordsman as he stared at those black-robed men with a chilling expression. Both sides continued moving towards each other. The black-robed men fiercely raced across the rooftops. Upon noticing Jian Wushuang standing in their way, their eyes flashed with killing intent. "Kill him," said one of the black-robed men. Like to said to Mr. Hua, they only wanted to leave. But if someone wanted to stop them, they would attack and kill them without hesitation. Jian Wushuang was clearly planning to stop them. "Swordsman, retreat! Retreat, retreat, retreat!" Yin Min and Ling Tianhao shouted widely at Jian Wushuang, but Jian Wushuang did not move at all. "Retreat? Should I retreat? Impossible!" Jian Wushuang roared in his heart. He was too weak 4 months ago, so he could only run away while being chased by a great number of silver and golden masked assassins from the Blood Feather Tower. But now, 4 months later, everything had changed. More importantly, his opponents were just 1 silver masked assassin and 8 copper masked assassins. They were not strong enough to make him retreat. Since he did not have to retreat, he would fight. This is war. I couldn't afford to stand out in the Golden Dragon subsidiary palace because there were too many people around. But everything that happens during the Golden Dragon Palace task is top secret. No one would dare to spread the information, so I don't have to worry about drawing attention or my true strength being revealed. Jian Wushuang raised his head, looking at them with cold eyes that were void of any emotion. He moved directly in front of the black-robed men and abruptly swung his triple kill sword. The first move of anonymous swordsmanship, Blood Shadow. The speed of his sword flashed out. At this moment, it was even more incredible, cold, and harsh than ever before. On the roof, except for the silver-masked man, the other 8 black-robed men saw a dazzling sword light move towards them, with the reflection in their eyes growing larger. The sword light was too fast. A hint of panic could be felt coming from the 8 black-robed men. In the next moment, the sword flash swept past the necks of those 8 men without any obstruction. The 8 black-robed men fell down without making a sound. All of a sudden, the whole Tianhuan sect went dead still. Silence, dead silence. Everyone in the Tianhuan sect was shocked by this terrifying sword speed. On top of the roof, the silver-masked man in a black robe was the only one still standing in front of Jian Wushuang. He glanced at the black-robed men, who had all just died, and felt frightened. He also saw the stroke from Jian Wushuang. The only one stroke swept past the necks of the 8 men at an amazing speed, killing all 8 of the exceptional spiritual sea realm assassins from Bloodfeather Tower. "Who are you?" the silver-masked man in a black robe asked with unprecedented seriousness. "I am swordsman," Jian Wushuang answered indifferently. "I only want to leave here. I'm not trying to impede your task, and I'm not a person from the Tianhuan sect. I shouldn't be a target from your task," the silver-masked man in a black robe said in a low voice. "It has nothing to do with the Golden Dragon Palace. You were all dead the moment I saw you," Jian Wushuang said without any emotion. "Let's see who died first." The silver-masked man in a black robe turned into a stream of light and appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. A dark red dagger pierced the air and immediately moved towards Jian Wushuang's head with an unprecedented speed. At the same time, a gruff voice from the silver-masked man in black robe rang out. "Go to hell." The eyes of the silver-masked man in a black robe were filled with killing intent. As an assassin at the silver mask level in the Bloodfeather Tower, his first move was a slaughter move. "Ridiculous," said Jian Wushuang. Smiling indifferently, he charged toward the killer. This seemingly casual sword move was the first move of anonymous swordsmanship, Blood Shadow. The speed of the sword light was unbelievably quick. That was the sword movement. The gray-robed elder, Mr. Hua, concentrated on this rooftop fight in the near distance. He looked serious. Sword essence of Gale. He grasped a sense of the sword essence of Gale, and his understanding of it is very deep. The sword movement was so quick. Yes, the speed was very fast. The dark red dagger had not reached Jian Wushuang, yet the sword light from Jian Wushuang's attack had already moved towards the silver-masked man in a black robe. Clang! As a deep metal crash sounded, the silver-masked man suddenly felt a strong power surge through his dark red dagger. The power of the clash instantly numbed his hands and forced him to retreat. The silver-masked man gaped in shock at Jian Wushuang. He hasn't reached primordial golden core, but his spiritual power is as strong as mine. More importantly, his swordsmanship is faster and superior to mine. Sword essence. Yes, he has grasped a sense of sword essence. It was no wonder that the silver-masked man in a black robe was so stunned. He could tell that Jian Wushuang had not reached the level of primordial golden pill yet. After all, spiritual power had a qualitative change once it reached the level of primordial golden pill. Once it was released, spiritual power at the primordial golden pill level couldn't be hidden. He didn't sense an aura at the level of the golden pill from Jian Wushuang. So he was sure that Jian Wushuang had not reached the level of primordial golden pill realm. This alone was enough to thoroughly surprise him. He has reached the peak of initial gold core realm, and there was only one step away from profound gold core realm. He used a slaughter move, but he was thoroughly defeated by Jian Wushuang, who had not even reached the gold core yet. What does it mean? Run. The silver-masked man in a black robe instantly made a decision. He could only run. As an assassin, speed was his strong point, so he fled for his life. However, the speed of Jian Wushuang was much faster than his. Trying to escape, Jian Wushuang said indifferently, "What?" The silver-masked man in a black robe was astonished and filled with a sense of bitterness. Warriors with a sense of the sword essence of Gale are best at speed. "Go to hell," Jian Wushuang said while releasing a strong killing intent. It was the second move of anonymous swordsmanship, sword killing movement. A dazzling and bloody sword light appeared. This strike is even faster and stronger than the previous one. The silver-masked man in a black robe was full of despair, and he even gave up on fighting back at this moment. The dazzling bloody sword light easily slashed out through his neck. Spurt, the silver-masked man in a black robe, at the level of initial gold core realm, was lying dead on the ground. Chapter 58. Chapter 58, Contemptible Scoundrel. In Tianhuan sect, everyone was surprised to see the silver-masked man in a black robe falling down. He was as proud as a peacock just now, and said that no one could stand in his way. But he was killed by someone else in only a second. And it was a person who accepted a one-clawed gold dragon guard mission. Swordsman, he unexpectedly killed a gold core realm expert. He killed all 8 people in the exceptional spiritual sea realm and even the expert in the gold core realm. He couldn't even run away. Is he the same swordsman who could not take 3 moves from Dongfang Yu? He can kill innate gold core realm experts, but he could not take 3 attacks from Dongfang Yu. Everyone was shocked by what they had just witnessed. As for Dongfang Yu, his expression was extremely funny. How was that possible? Dongfang Yu murmured. His eyes were empty. He simply could not believe it. He killed 8 people in the exceptional spiritual sea realm. He even killed the gold core realm expert in 1 move. That man didn't even get a chance to run away. What level was his strength at? And it was the same man that could not take 3 moves from him during recruitment that did it. He couldn't believe it. He recalled what he said to Jian Wushuang at the beginning of the mission. You are just a waste. There are so many people in the Tianhuan sect that can kill you. His words had been full of disdain. Thinking back to those words, Dongfang Yu's complexion became very pale. He suddenly realized that Jian Wushuang must have lost on purpose. After killing the silver-masked man in a black robe on the roof, Jian Wushuang looked over and noticed Dongfang Yu inside the courtyard. Whoosh! Jian Wushuang moved swiftly towards Dongfang Yu, appearing in front of him in a second. Whoosh! An icy sword edge hit Dongfang Yu's throat. Hand over your interspatial ring, or you will die. Jian Wushuang said coldly without any emotion. Dongfang Yu moved his throat, clearly sensing the icy sword edge, remembering the recent death of the man of gold core realm. He had no doubt that Jian Wushuang could do it. The 4 people behind Dongfang Yu had disdained Jian Wushuang earlier, but now they did not even dare to breathe. Should I refuse? Dongfang Yu roared in mind. His small and fragile self-esteem fought with his reason, but in the end, his reason prevailed. While trembling, Dongfang Yu handed over an interspatial ring to Jian Wushuang without too much hesitation. Jian Wushuang took the interspatial ring and smiled. He looked Dongfang Yu up and down as if he was a contemptible scoundrel. Finally, Jian Wushuang withdrew and sheathed the triple kill sword, walking away without a single word. Dongfang Yu and the 4 people sighed with relief after Jian Wushuang went away. At that moment, they were totally soaked in sweat, especially Dongfang Yu. He was still trembling, even now. Suddenly Dongfang Yu turned to the 4 people behind him. An interspatial ring was taken away by swordsmen. That means only 2 people can finish the task now. Dongfang Yu looked gloomy. Then the complexions of the 4 people behind Dongfang Yu turned serious. Yin Min and Ling Tianhao were waiting in the courtyard. It didn't take long for Jian Wushuang to arrive. Ling Tianhao moved towards Jian Wushuang and smiled. Ha! Swordsman, innate gold core realm. A real gold core realm expert was killed by you. You are so awesome. You were indeed awesome, swordsman. Yin Min gave Jian Wushuang the thumbs up. Well, the reason why your strength improved so much was because you had made a breakthrough, right? Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. The reason that he was able to kill the 8 in the exceptional spiritual sea realm with only 1 stroke and even kill the silver-masked man in a black robe, who was at the peak of the initial gold core realm, was because he made a breakthrough and reached the ultimate spirit sea. As a result, his spiritual power improved to a level similar to an average warrior in the Gold Core realm. If he had not made a breakthrough, he could not have killed the silver-masked man in black robe so easily. "We should leave here," Jian Wushuang said. "What about the ring?" Ling Tianhao asked. "Don't worry. I took an interspatial ring just now," Jian Wushuang said. "Oh." Yin Min and Ling Tianhao both felt surprised. "I saw Dongfang Yu and snatched an interspatial ring from him just now," said Jian Wushuang, smiling weirdly. After hearing that, both Yin Min and Ling Tianhao showed great interest. "Haha, swordsman, did you confront Dongfang Yu?" Ling Tianhao looked excited. "I don't think Dongfang Yu has enough courage to fight with you. He must have handed over the interspatial ring immediately." "Haha, I wonder how terrible the expression on his face was," Yin Min said, and laughed. "Certainly, it must have been very ugly," Ling Tianhao said, and also laughed. Both Yin Min and Ling Tianhao had some kind of beef with Dongfang Yu, so they disliked him. But they both could not contend with him. So it was reasonable for them to be so excited when they heard that Dongfang Yu suffered a defeat on Swordsman's hand. Jian Wushuang only shook his head and smiled. In his eyes, Dongfang Yu was just a contemptible scoundrel and could not make a difference at all. Outside this gigantic valley, the gray-robed elder mister, who waited quietly, some warriors in the One-Clawed Gold Dragon Guard mission had recently returned. Mr. Hu didn't pay any attention to them, though. However, when Jian Wushuang, Lin Min, and Lin Tianhao came back safe and sound, everyone immediately looked in their direction. Swordsman, although he only reached Spiritual Sea Realm, he killed an expert in Primordial Gold Core. It was too awesome. The people who witnessed the death of the 9 black-robed men had complicated expressions while they looked at Jian Wushuang more carefully this time. Even the gray-robed elder, Mr. Hua, gave Jian Wushuang a friendly smile. "Mr. Hua said gently, 'Well done, kiddo.' "Thanks," Jian Wushuang said modestly. "Please wait for a while," said Mr. Hua with a smile. Chapter 59. Chapter 59, Invitation. The experts who had accepted the task came back one after another. Dongfang Yu, followed by the brown-haired man, was the last to arrive, but his appearance looked a little unnatural. "It's good that there are still 15 people alive in the end," Mr. was said indifferently with a casual glance. However, everyone else looked awestruck. More than 30 people at the exceptional Spiritual Sea Realm accepted this mission, but only 15 people survived in the end. In other words, more than half of the people died during the mission. Some were killed by disciples from the Tianhuan sect, while the ones killed by fellow examinees is probably not only a few. Jian Wushuang thought secretly. Take Dongfang Yu, for example. He was followed by 5 martial masters in the beginning, but now there was only the brown-haired man, who was seriously injured. So it was very clear to Jian Wushuang how the other 4 people had died. "Everyone who has an interspatial ring should give it to me," said Mr. Hua. Among the 15 people who survived, 10 stepped forward to hand in their rings. At which point, Mr. Hua took out a list and recorded their names. After recording their names, Mr. Hua waved his hand and threw them gold rings. "These are your gold dragon rings. The claw marks represent your rank in the Gold Dragon Guard. 1 claw mark stands for 1-clawed Gold Dragon Guard, while 2 stands for 2-clawed Gold Dragon Guard. From this day forth, you are members of the Gold Dragon Guard," Mr. Hua said loudly. After receiving the rings, Jian Wushuang and the other 9 who had completed the task immediately used their blood to bind the rings. "Is this an interspatial ring?" Jian Wushuang became aware of the space contained in the interspatial ring when he inspected it with his mind. Then he laughed and said, "This interspatial ring will make it more convenient to carry things. You should be exhausted after completing the task, so you can take a break before returning to Qingdong City." After saying this, Mr. Hu glanced at Jian Wushuang and said, "Little guy, come with me." Jian Wushuang felt surprised as he followed Mr. Hu to the side. "Little guy, you hid so well. I did not notice the slightest flaw when you were defeated by Dongfang Yu within 3 rounds 3 days ago." Mr. Hu glanced at Jian Wushuang with a smile. Jian Wushuang only smiled awkwardly. "If I'm not mistaken, you should have some grievances with the Blood Feather Tower, right?" Mr. Hu asked suddenly. Jian Wushuang's complexion changed immediately. "It seems that I guessed right." It was clear to Mr. Hu when he saw the change in Jian Wushuang's expression. Every action has a reason. There must have been a reason for you to prefer giving up your face and allowing Dongfang Yu to defeat you within 3 rounds at the Gold Dragon subsidiary palace. Yet during this mission, you killed all the people from Blood Feather Tower. So, I guessed that you must have a huge feud with Blood Feather Tower. Hearing that, Jian Wushuang could only shrug his shoulders, replying in a deep voice, "I do, in fact, have a grudge with Blood Feather Tower. Unless I die, I will never stop seeking revenge." "Unless you die?" Mr. Hu frowned. Blood Feather Tower is the #1 assassin organization in the Tianzong dynasty. Their actions are very cruel and extreme. In the Tianzong dynasty, there are many people who have grudges with the Blood Feather Tower, deathless endlessly, but Tianan province is not the main province where Blood Feather Tower operates. Their insidious, hidden strength cannot be underestimated. If you are spotted by them, you will be in a big trouble, Mr. Hu said and smiled. "But don't worry. The rehabilitation capacity of our Golden Dragon Palace is always good, and in general, it's not possible to let out the course of this mission. Therefore, although you have killed several martial experts of Blood Feather Tower, you don't need to worry about being spotted by the people of Blood Feather Tower." "I know," Jian Wushuang said and nodded. "But don't worry, our Gold Dragon Palace is always good at dealing with the aftermath. In general, it's impossible for the information of this mission to be leaked. Therefore, although you have killed several experts from Blood Feather Tower, you won't have to worry about being targeted by Blood Feather Tower." "Little guy, you should have heard of Dragon Palace?" Mr. Hu asked suddenly. "Of course I have." Jian Wushuang nodded heavily. "It will be much simpler if you already know about the Dragon Palace. Are you interested in cultivating in the Dragon Palace?" asked Mr. Hu while smiling mysteriously. "Go to the Dragon Palace to cultivate?" Jian Wushuang asked while surprised. Dragon Palace was a holy place full of exceptional geniuses. Jian Wushuang has always wanted to join a group like Dragon Palace, a place which was full of geniuses and monsters. "Can I join Dragon Palace?" Jian Wushuang asked immediately. "I'm uncertain whether you can actually join Dragon Palace to cultivate, but based on your performance in the Tianhuan sect, you can easily kill someone at the peak of initial Gold Core realm in just 2 moves while you are only in Spiritual Sea realm. This is incredible, and you can absolutely be called a monster, so you have a very good chance of entering Dragon Palace. Therefore, if you are willing to wait, I will ask for a Gold Dragon ambassador to come and verify your actual strength once we return to Qingdong City. As long as you can gain the recognition and recommendation of the Gold Dragon ambassador, you will have a chance cultivate at Dragon Palace." Mr. Hu paused and glanced at Jian Wushuang afterwards. "So I'll ask you now, do you want to go to Dragon Palace for cultivation?" "Yes, of course I do." Jian Wushuang nodded and said immediately, without any hesitation, Dragon Palace was a holy place for cultivation. Numerous talents in the Tianzong dynasty were eager to join and cultivate, and Jian Wushuang was no exception. After all, a warrior who cultivated blindly by himself could become an expert, but compared with warriors who had a lot of resources and were instructed by experts, he would still be inferior. Jian Wushuang possessed remarkable ability in swordsmanship because he had followed his father in practicing swordsmanship since he was a child. Therefore, he knew very well that there was a large difference between having a teacher and learning on his own. Haha, I will immediately arrange for you as you wish after returning to Qingdong City. In addition, it doesn't matter if you eventually didn't enter into Dragon Palace, but once you enter into Dragon Palace, you needn't care about Blood Feather Tower, because Dragon Palace will protect its talented disciples strictly. Even Blood Feather Tower is hard to find chance to kill you, and even if there is a chance, they dare not to kill the disciples of Dragon Palace. Mr. was said with a smile. After hearing these words, Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up again. What was he most worried about? It was not having the chance to grow up and become stronger, the chance that Blood Feather Tower did not want to give him. If he joined the Dragon Palace, he could grow up slowly over the next few years under the protection of the Dragon Palace. He would even have a chance to grow strong enough to make the Blood Feather Tower treat him seriously, maybe even fear him. Chapter 60. Chapter 60. Yi Rafeng. Jian Wushuang returned to where Yi Min and Ling Tianhao were after his conversation with Mr. Hua. Brother swordsman, what did His Excellency say? The impatient Ling Tianhao immediately asked. He asked me if I want to join the Dragon Palace, Jian Wushuang said. Join the Dragon Palace. Ling Tianhao stared at him, wide-eyed. The Dragon Palace? Yi Min was also looking at him in shock. The warriors who accepted the mission with them also overheard Jian Wushuang's answer, and their expressions changed. Some looked envious, some appeared shocked, and there were also those who shot him looks of longing. Dong Fangyu's expression, in particular, was complex beyond measure. He still remembered how his great master, Zhu Tao, had been complimenting him on his ability to join the Dragon Place when they were in the Golden Dragon subsidiary palace. He said, Dongfang, you only lacked someone to recommend him. But Mr. Hua did not even spare him a glance. Yet Mr. Hua had taken the initiative to invite Jian Wushuang to join the Dragon Palace. The way he treated them both was too dramatically different. Humph. So what if Mr. Hua is willing to play matchmaker? The recommendation list is with the Golden Dragon Ambassador, not Mr. Hua. Even if Mr. Hua has the recommendation list, it's not like he'll be able to join the Dragon Place if he wants to. Dong Fangyu was feeling a deep envy toward Jian Wushuang. Now listen carefully. The sonorous voice of Mr. was suddenly reverberated as his gaze traveled around the place. The missions issued by our Golden Dragon Palace have always been secrets. Though you've joined the mission, you mustn't reveal anything about it, whether it's the process or the result. If it is leaked and we find out it's you, we'll kill you no matter who you are. Everyone looked serious. No one dared to defy the rules of the Golden Dragon Palace. Well, let's go back to the Qingdong City. With a wave of Mr. Hua's hand, everyone immediately embarked on their way back to the Qingdong City. They all felt tense when they made their way here, but much more relaxed now that their mission was done. Those who had officially become the one-clawed Golden Dragon Guard were in especially high spirits. Before long, they made it back to the Golden Dragon subsidiary palace in the Qingdong City. The second they reached the place, Mr. Hua immediately said to Jian Wushuang, "Young man, come with me to see the Golden Dragon Ambassador." "Sure." Jian Wushuang nodded. "Brother swordsman, I really need to thank you this time. Go ahead and see the Golden Dragon Messenger." When you return, we must have a good drink, said Ling Tianhao, smiling. Haozi and I will be waiting for you at the celestial immortal residence with good wine, Yin Min said with a smile. No problem. Jian Wushuang nodded with a smile. He then followed Mr. Hua in the direction of the inner hall of the attic. When they came to an empty secret room, Mr. Hua said, "Wait here for a moment. I'll go meet the Golden Dragon ambassador." Thank you. Jian Wushuang nodded. Mr. Hua was not gone for long. Soon, he returned with a grim-looking middle-aged man dressed in a crimson robe. Jian Wushuang had met this man before. It was none other than the Golden Dragon ambassador, who had killed 14 experts of the Gold Core realm of the Tianhuan sect. He immediately bowed. Your Excellency, Golden Dragon ambassador. Huaman, is he the young man who you mentioned has the chance to cultivate in the Dragon Palace? The middle-aged man asked. Yes, his name is Swordsman, Huaman replied. Swordsman? It's probably a pseudonym. When the middle-aged man looked at Jian Wushuang, he felt as if he was being targeted by an ancient, fierce beast. I'll introduce myself first. Young man, I'm Yi Rufeng, and as for my rank, you should be aware that I'm the Golden Dragon ambassador of the Golden Dragon Palace. Yi Rufeng said slowly, Earlier, Huaman has told me about you, and he spoke highly of you, but the recommendation list to enter the Dragon Palace is in my hands. So if you want to join us for cultivation, you must first display enough talent to satisfy me. I understand. Jian Wushuang nodded. Good. I'll be your opponent. Show me all that you got, and remember, you don't have many opportunities, Yi Rufeng said. Yes. Jian Wushuang took a deep breath, his expression turning solemn. As what Yi Rufeng had mentioned, he truly did not have many opportunities. Golden Dragon ambassador, I'll start. He was already gripping his triple-kill sword, and a strong fighting desire rose in him. Feel free to come at me. Yi Rufeng had his hands behind his back and wore an indifferent expression. Anonymous swordsmanship, sword-killing movement. Jian Wushuang's eyes turned cold as he gathered his killing intent. A stream of dazzling, bloody sword essence burst forth. His killing intent rose sharply at that moment before being pushed to its peak. Yi Rufeng was surprised. Oh, it's the formless swordsmanship. He, as the Golden Dragon messenger and the strongest warrior at the Yin-Yang Void realm, was naturally familiar with the so-called first in the world, the formless swordsmanship. He did not use any martial arts technique or show any of his amazing cultivation of spiritual power. With a simple wave of his sleeves, he easily defused Jian Wushuang's strongest sword move. When he was done, he stretched out his fingers. Clang! He caught the edge of the triple kill, sword like a pincer. No matter how much Jian Wushuang struggled, he could not move the sword out of Yi Rufeng's firm hold. Jian Wushuang was greatly shocked. He had long known that Yin-Yang Void realm warriors had impressive strength, but he did not expect it to be this strong. After making a breakthrough into the ultimate spirit sea level, he could kill the strongest initial gold core realm with ease. But now the strongest move he could use was so easily defused by Yi Rufeng to the point where his sword was even being controlled by mere fingers. You're already pretty good to be able to use the second type of the formless swordsmanship to this extent. Yi Rufeng was still holding the triple kill sword in place, but he was now smiling at Jian Wushuang. You imbued the sword essence of Gale in your swordsmanship, and you also have a high comprehension of it. Not bad. Not bad at all. He finally loosened his grip, allowing Jian Wushuang to retrieve his sword. It's a shame that I don't have a swordsmanship suitable for the sword essence of Earth. Otherwise, Jian Wushuang balled his hands into fists, feeling unsatisfied with the outcome. He had comprehended sword essence of Gale, and sword essence of earth at nearly the same time. Though he comprehended the former earlier, he later realized that he comprehended sword essence of earth faster, and ended up doing just that in the dark forest in the past 3 months. Thus, he had a better comprehension of the sword essence of earth. Unfortunately, he did not have a suitable swordsmanship to display it. Take his strongest move, the anonymous swordsmanship, as an example. It emphasized on speed, and was most suitable to be used with the sword essence of Gale. When paired with the sword essence of Earth, it not only seemed out of place, its might was also reduced greatly. Chapter 61. Chapter 61, Going Through the Dragon Gate. Gold Dragon Ambassador, what do you think about this little guy? Huaman asked. His comprehension of the sword principle of Gale is good. Yi Rufeng smiled slightly and looked at Jian Wushuang, then continued, Little guy, how old are you? 17, Jian Wushuang replied. Only 17? Yi Rufeng and Huaman both had a surprised expression. Then Yi Rufeng laughed and said, You are excellent considering your high comprehension of the sword principle of Gale. Little guy, you should prepare yourself to go to the Dragon Palace with me in 2 days. Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up because he understood that Yi Rufeng recognized his talent and was going to recommend him. Thank you so much, Gold Dragon Ambassador, Jian Wushuang said immediately. You are welcome. It will also benefit me if you really become a disciple of Dragon Palace. Yi Rufeng gave a wave. Jian Wushuang nodded, and then he left. Qingdong City, Celestial Immortal Residence. Brother Swordsman. Swordsman, how did it go? Yin Min and Ling Tianhao had been waiting for him since earlier. The Gold Dragon Ambassador promised to recommend me, but it's not guaranteed that I can join Dragon Palace, Jian Wushuang said. Haha, based on your strength, you should definitely be able to. Come on. Cheers, Ling Tianhao said, and smiled. Jian Wushuang grabbed the wine cup and had a toast with Ling Tianhao. Although the time that he had been acquainted with Yin Min and Ling Tianhao was not long, he found that they were a spontaneous and merited group after getting along with them. The status of a Gold Dragon Ambassador is high, and he knows a lot regarding Dragon Palace. Also, a Gold Dragon Ambassador has a limited number of recommendations, so each recommendation is important. Since the Gold Dragon Ambassador recommended you, it means that he thinks you have the ability to make it through the test to join Dragon Palace, Yin Min said. Jian Wushuang nodded secretly. Indeed, Yi Rufeng was well informed on the situation inside the Dragon Palace. Since he was willing to recommend him, it meant that he was confident in Jian Wushuang. Based on that, you will definitely be able to join and cultivate in the Dragon Palace. Come on. Cheers. Cheers. Congratulations. Ling Tianhao said instantly. Jian Wushuang and Yin Min also lift their cups. The three of them were drinking with passion. 2 days later, at the Golden Dragon Subsidiary Palace. Little guy, are you ready? Let's go, Yi Rufeng said. Jian Wushuang nodded, and then he left the city with Yi Rufeng. Now, they were outside of the city. Grasp my hand, Yi Rufeng said. After grasping Yi Rufeng's hand without hesitance, Jian Wushuang felt a special power gathering beneath Yi Rufeng's feet. Subsequently, the figure of Yi Rufeng was floating, and then Jian Wushuang also began floating. Then, they left at an incredible speed. Is this void walk? Jian Wushuang was surprised and became even more eager to reach the Yin-Yang Void Realm. The distance between the Dragon Palace and Qingdong City was equal to the most remote provinces. It would take 1 or 2 months to rush to the Dragon Palace if Jian Wushuang walked there on his own. But now it would only take 1 day to rush to the Dragon Palace under Yi Rufeng's lead. Is this the Dragon Palace? Jian Wushuang was still floating in the air overlooking the boundless ground in astonishment. Below him, he saw an area between two giant mountains full of magnificent palaces and pavilions that towered above the ground. In the center, a statue of a gold dragon was coiled up, appearing as if it was flying to the ninth heaven. "Let's go down." Yi Rufeng dived down along with Jian Wushuang. Upon reaching the ground, many figures appeared in front of them. These people all wore the same golden armors and helmets, holding golden long spears. When they saw Yi Rufeng, they paid their respects instantly and said, "Your Excellency, where are the two palace masters?" Yi Rufeng asked directly. "They are both staying at the Dragon Gate," a golden-armored sergeant, a leader among them, said. "Oh, the Dragon Gate? Is there an exceptional genius going through the Dragon Gate Pass? He should be fascinating if he drew the attention of the two palace masters," replied Yi Rufeng. "Yes, he is new, but his talent is unbelievable. It's said that he has made it through the 6th layer," said the golden-armored sergeant. "What, the 6th layer?" Yi Rufeng was shocked and then waved his hand, saying, "Carry on with your duties. I'll go meet the two palace masters on my own." Okay. Those golden-armored sergeants went back to work immediately. However, they could not help glancing at Jian Wushuang as they left. Jian Wushuang's expression was serious. Once those golden-armored sergeants were gone, he could not help asking, "Your Excellency, those sergeants are all experts in the gold core realm?" "Yes, and their strength is at the peak of the gold core realm." Yi Rufeng smiled casually and continued saying, "Those golden-armored sergeants are the emperor-guarding army that is well known in the Tianzong dynasty. They specifically guard the imperial palace and some other important areas. They are the most elite and violent force in the Tianzong dynasty. The battle strength of the army is astonishing. The minimum strength required to become a sergeant in the emperor-guarding army, the peak of the golden core realm." What? Jian Wushuang was astonished. The minimum strength required for normal sergeants was the peak of the gold core realm. "Little guy, I have heard from Huo Man that you have a great enmity with the Blood Feather Tower, and that it's irreconcilable. Is that right?" Yi Rufeng asked while looking at Jian Wushuang. "Yes," Jian Wushuang said, and nodded. "Don't worry about the Blood Feather Tower. As long as you can make it through the Dragon Palace's test and become a disciple of Dragon Palace, you will be protected. The Dragon Palace is located at the campsite of the Emperor-guarding army. There are many experts. The Blood Feather Tower has no way to kill you in the Dragon Palace, even if they sent all of their experts here," said Yi Rufeng. Jian Wushuang believed him. "Your Excellency, is the Dragon Gate that the sergeant mentioned also the testing area for joining the Dragon Palace?" Jian Wushuang asked. "You are clever. Yes, a carp jumping into the Dragon Gate means that you are successful. Every disciple who joins and cultivates in the Dragon Palace has to make it through the Dragon Gate Pass. That is the test you must pass," Yi Rufeng narrated. "The test in the Dragon Gate is special. It doesn't test your cultivation, spiritual power, or your martial arts technique. It tests your comprehension of the essence realm of heaven and earth. The Dragon Gate has total 13 layers. The first layer requires comprehension of the essence realm of heaven and earth. The higher your comprehension, the more layers you go through. Under normal circumstances, the minimum for joining the Dragon Palace is to make it through the 3rd layer. Because your swordsmanship was executed using your comprehension of the sword principle of Gale, I think that you are very likely to make it through the 3rd layer. That is why I recommended you," Yi Rufeng said. "Based on my comprehension of the sword principle of Gale, it is very likely that I can make it through the 3rd layer." Jian Wushuang's expression became strange. from what the golden-armored sergeant said earlier. A new person like him that just arrived was currently going through the Dragon Gate and had already passed through the 6th layer. Chapter 62. Chapter 62. Peerless Genius Yang Zishuan. Okay, this is the Dragon Gate. Yi Rufeng led Jian Wushuang to a towering golden pavilion. At a glance, the pavilion appeared to have 13 levels. At the moment, many people were standing in front of the golden pavilion. The two most prominent people were an old man wearing a black robe and a graceful woman dressed in white. Even though Yi Rufeng was an expert, upon seeing these two people he bowed to pay his respects and said, "Greetings, Palace Master Black and Palace Master White." Yi Rufeng. The graceful woman in white looked at him and Jian Wushuang, then said with a smile, "You brought this little guy to go through the Dragon Gate?" "Yes," said Yi Rufeng with a nod. "You will have to wait a minute. Someone else is already going through the Dragon Gate now," said the graceful woman in white. Then she turned her head immediately. Yi Rufeng and Jian Wushuang had no choice but to wait quietly. Jian Wushuang lifted his head and looked at the towering golden pavilion. The lowest 6 levels of this 13-level golden pavilion were shining. Jian Wushuang knew it meant that 6 levels had been passed by the genius that was currently going through the Dragon Gate. Currently, the genius was making his way through the 7th level. Suddenly, the 7th level of the golden pavilion also burst out with a golden light. He passed the 7th level. Yi Rufeng shouted out in shock. Many others outside of the golden pavilion also shouted out in surprise. "Sir Yi, is it amazing that he passed the 7th level?" Jian Wushuang couldn't help asking. "Amazing. It is really amazing." Yi Rufeng nodded seriously and said, "I have told you that moving through the Dragon Gate is based on your comprehension of the essence realm of heaven and earth. It's likely that you could make it through the 3rd level with your comprehension of the sword principle of Gale. But it's hard to say if you could make it through the 4th level. As for the 7th level, it's a huge bottleneck. Generally speaking, only someone with comprehension equal to an expert in the yin-yang void realm can make it through. In other words, if someone gets through the 7th level, it means that his comprehension of the essence realm of heaven and earth is not less than an expert in the yin-yang void realm. Jian Wushuang was shocked. How strong was an expert in the yin-yang void realm? How high was an expert's comprehension of the essence realm of heaven and earth? Jian Wushuang could not imagine it. However, he knew that the amount of time he spent comprehending the essence realm of heaven and earth was short. Although he reached a certain level of understanding, there were numerous people whose comprehension was higher than his just among experts in the gold core realm. As for the yin-yang void realm, he was too far away from them. If going through the 7th level is amazing, how about the 8th level? Jian Wushuang asked. Suddenly, the 8th level of the golden pavilion immediately burst out with golden light. He passed through the 8th level. The 8th level? Yi Rufeng had a shocked expression. No wonder the 2 palace maters of Dragon Palace came. A marvelous new member has appeared. Even before cultivating in Dragon Palace, he can already pass through the 8th level of the Dragon Gate. There's no doubt that he'll make greater progress after cultivating in Dragon Palace. His achievements will be even more spectacular. He is really a peerless genius. Yi Rufeng was full of praise, but Jian Wushuang only gave a shrug after listening to his explanation. He was just good in the eyes of Yi Rufeng, but the genius going through the Dragon Gate was praised by Yi Rufeng. With this, it's easy to see how amazingly talented he was. Going through the 8th level of Dragon Gate represented that his comprehension of the essence realm of heaven and earth had surpassed many experts of the yin-yang void realm. It also induced a burst of surprise outside of the Golden Pavilion. However, the 8th was the limit. The 9th level of the Golden Pavilion did not light up in the end. Jingle! The gate of the Golden Pavilion opened. Wearing a blood-red robe, with a blood-red saber on his back, a young man slowly appeared before the eyes of the crowd. Everyone looked at the young man for the first time, including Jian Wushuang. He was slender and handsome with a hint of indifference and pride on his face. A glimmer of an unyielding will was hidden in the deep of his eyes, and he emanated an aura of coldness. The man is cold. Jian Wushuang frowned secretly. Haha, little guy. Welcome to Dragon Palace. The Black and White Palace Masters, as well as the nearby experts of the Dragon Palace, all greeted him with a smile. Little guy, what's your name and how old are you? Palace Master White asked with good intentions. Yang Zishuan, 21, he replied in a cold voice. Everyone who heard him was immediately surprised. 21. He is only 21 years old, yet his comprehension of the essence realm of heaven and earth is already so high. He managed to pass through the 8th level of the Dragon Gate. The most dazzling talent in Dragon Palace only made it through the 8th level. Awesome! Our Dragon Palace will become boisterous. Bai Cheng finally has a rival. Many disciples of Dragon Palace that were present were talking about that. A 21-year-old man had gone through the 8th level of the Dragon Gate. Even in Dragon Palace, it was incredible. He was the most exceptional, one among all the exceptional geniuses. After all, previously, there had only been one person that made it through the 8th level of the Dragon Gate, and he was known as the number 1 genius in Dragon Palace, Bai Cheng. Yang Zishuan is amazing, Yi Rufeng said, then sighed with emotion. Having sighed for a while, the Black and White Palace Masters looked at Yi Rufeng and Jian Wushuang. Yi Rufeng, you can let this little guy you brought go through the Dragon Gate now, Palace Master White said, completely ignoring Jian Wushuang. The Palace Masters had a high status, so the geniuses who had gone through the Dragon Gate were only worth a glance to them. Only a peerless genius like Yang Zishuan could excite the 2 Palace Masters and receive their enthusiastic treatment. Little guy, you should go. Remember, you should try your best to go to the highest level you can reach, said Yi Rufeng. Okay, said Jian Wushuang. Then he nodded and went straight towards the Golden Pavilion without paying attention to the gazes of the people around him. He quickly entered the Golden Pavilion. The first level of the Dragon Gate. A red-haired man was sitting cross-legged on the empty ground. When Jian Wushuang walked inside, the man suddenly glared at Jian Wushuang and said, Little guy, if you beat me, you can go to the next level. Come on. As soon as he finished speaking, the red-haired man began to brandish his large axe, which was surrounded by a blast of invisible airflow. In an instant, the large axe slashed toward his opponent. Jian Wushuang immediately swung his triple-kill sword to block the blow. Then he directly took the chance to strike back, scratching the garment of the red-haired man. Obviously, the red-haired man was defeated. He made it through the first level. Chapter 63. Chapter 63, the 4th level. On the first floor, the opponent I met was good at axemanship, but he did not comprehend any of the essence realm of heaven and earth. Therefore, it was easy to defeat him. Jian Wushuang thought privately. Then he entered the 2nd floor. The opponent he faced on the 2nd floor had comprehended a trace of the essence realm of heaven and earth. It was the Gale essence, but only the initial stage, so Jian Wushuang still defeated him easily. On the 3rd floor, Jian Wushuang faced a much stronger opponent. After all, one must pass through the 3rd level, at the least, to enter Dragon Palace. Naturally, it was more difficult. Go to hell. An ice-cold sword light flashed before disappearing in an instant. In the end, Jian Wushuang defeated him with the first move of anonymous swordsmanship. On the fourth floor, Jian Wushuang's opponent was a black-clothed elder who held a purple soft sword in his hand. Chu. Another ice-cold sword light flashed. Once again, it was the first move of anonymous swordsmanship, Blood Shadow. Formless swordsmanship. The black-clothed elder smiled slightly and said, "What a coincidence, I can use the sword essence of Gale too." The same ice-cold, dazzling sword light appeared in the black-clothed elder's hand. They were brandishing two of the same sword shadows with the same sword essence. Not only that, both of them released nearly the same spiritual power because the opponent was from the Dragon Gate. Clang! The two sword edges met. What? Jian Wushuang was astonished and downcast. He could clearly tell that the swordsmanship used by the gray-clothed elder was faster than his, even if it was only by a little. His comprehension of the sword principle of Gale is higher than mine. Jian Wushuang realized immediately. Sword-killing movement. Jian Wushuang followed with the second move of anonymous swordsmanship. Haha, it's useless. In the Dragon Gate, the real test is in your comprehension of essence realm of heaven and earth. Martial arts technique and swordsmanship don't make a big difference here. Besides, I can use sword-killing movement too. The killing intent from the purple soft sword in the black-clothed elder's hand exploded, attacking with a sword light, which was equal to the one Jian Wushuang released. Once again, two equal sword lights met, and the black-clothed elder suppressed him again. "Little boy, give it up. You are too weak in the sword principle of Gale to pass the fourth level," the black-clothed elder said with a smile. "Really?" Jian Wushuang's expression became serious. Then he said, "What about this move?" After saying that, a heavy sword essence was released. Jian Wushuang swung his long sword with great momentum. "It's Earth Sword Essence?" The black-clothed elder's expression changed. It's not easy to comprehend the essence realm of heaven and earth. Comprehending one was difficult. To comprehend two at the same time was much more difficult. Yang Zishuan, who passed through the 8th level just now, was a super genius that comprehended two at the same time. The black-clothed elder didn't expect that the little guy standing in front of him, who was under 20 years old, not only had a high level of comprehension in the sword essence of Gale, but also comprehended Earth Sword Essence at the same time. A sword shadow with great momentum rushed straight towards him, as if it could chop up a mountain. After perceiving the great amount of power contained in the sword shadow, the black-clothed elder's countenance changed a little. He didn't fight back recklessly, quickly choosing to dodge it instead. However, before the elder could use his sword to attack, Jian Wushuang changed his sword essence again. He used the sword essence of Gale, along with the first move of anonymous swordsmanship, Blood Shadow. He can shift between the sword essences of Gale and Earth so easily. The black-clothed elder was surprised and smiled bitterly. The sword essences of Earth and Gale. One was massive and majestic with power and influence, while the other was flexible and visionary. If he could perfectly transition between them, these two sword essences would produce a terrible power which the gray-clothed elder could not oppose. The 4th level of the Dragon Gate passed. As for the 5th level, the opponent Jian Wushuang faced also comprehended the sword essence of Earth. Not only that, he was stronger than Jian Wushuang in sword essence of Earth comprehension and used it more freely. Jian Wushuang tried his best, fighting with him for quite a while, but finally he was defeated, causing him to stop at the 5th level. When Jian Wushuang walked out of the Golden Pavilion, all the experts of Dragon Palace that were waiting outside looked at him. Passing through the 4th level is good enough. so he is qualified to enter Dragon Palace. However, there is a large gap in skill between him and Yang Zhaixuan. An extraordinary genius like Yang Zhaixuan is rare. It is impossible to come by two in a single day. Everyone in the area was secretly discussing it. "Little guy, what's your name, and how old are you?" Palace Master White walked to him and asked directly. "Swordsman," said Jian Wushuang, still chose to use this pseudonym. 17 years old. 17 years old. Everyone in the area was astonished, including both of the palace masters. Then Palace Master White smiled and said, "Ha ha, good. It seems that we have one more genius. It's rare for a 17-year-old kid to pass through the 4th level of the Dragon Gate. You could be ranked between middle and upper among the many disciples in Dragon Palace." Palace Master Black, who stayed silent, nodded in agreement. "Yi Rafeng, you brought a good disciple to Dragon Palace." Palace Master White looked over at Yi Rafeng. "I just did my duty," said Yi Rafeng, remaining humble. "Yang Zhaixuan, swordsman, from now on, you are both disciples of Dragon Palace. Congratulations for becoming one of the many monsters in Tianzong Dynasty," said Palace Master White with a laugh. Jian Wushuang and Yang Zhaixuan stood side by side. After hearing this, Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, and Yang Zhaixuan was indifferent as always. "Come with me. I will take you to visit Dragon Palace," said Palace Master White, intending to escort both Jian Wushuang and Yang Zhaixuan. Suddenly, the surroundings totally calmed down. A white-haired man, wearing white, slowly walked into the people's sights. His hair is as white as snow, the strongest genius, Bai Cheng, the strongest disciple in Dragon Palace. It's him. He actually appeared. As he approached, all the disciples of Dragon Palace watched him with grim looks on their faces. "Is he Bai Cheng?" Jian Wushuang slightly squinted his eyes while hearing Bai Cheng's name mentioned in their discussion. "The strongest person in Dragon Palace." Yang Zhaixuan raised his head and saw the white figure with cold and prideful eyes, walking slowly in their direction. The white-haired man in white stopped. His black eyes, full of arrogance, swept over them as the sides of his mouth stretched upwards to form a meaningful smile. "I heard that a newcomer passed through the 8th level of the Dragon Gate today, so I wanted to see for myself." Chapter 64. Chapter 64. Ranked at the bottom. Palace Master White, may I know which one of these two passed the 8th level? Though he seemed kind and gentle, there was a trace of insidious coldness inside his eyes when looking at Jian Wushuang and Yang Zhaixuan. Palace Master White instantly introduced them one by one, starting with Jian Wushuang. "This is swordsman, 17 years old. He passed through the 4th level." "Oh." Bai Cheng glanced at Jian Wushuang with a faint smile and said, "The 4th level. He would be ranked at the bottom among the many disciples of Dragon Palace. But he's young. If there are no accidents, it's possible for him to pass the 7th level before 20. He can reach the same level as Golden Dragon Ambassador Yi, and would barely be an expert in the Tianzong Dynasty." Hearing what he said, Yi Rafeng smiled faintly and ignored it. He did not dare to show any disdain. However, Jian Wushuang frowned and felt unpleasant. "I might reach the level of Yi Rafeng. I might barely become an expert. Even I can't imagine what I might achieve in the future. What makes Bai Cheng think he can judge me with one glance in such a condescending manner, acting as if what he says will definitely come true in the future? How arrogant and conceited can he be?" Even though he was unhappy, he didn't openly offend Bai Cheng. "This is Yang Zhaixuan. He is the one who passed the 8th level, and he is currently 21 years old," replied Palace Master White. Bai Cheng turned to face Yang Zhaixuan and fixed his eyes on him before saying, to pass through the 8th level of the Dragon Gate at 21 years old. You're promising. In Dragon Palace, I'm afraid that there is no one but me who could suppress you. You mean you are stronger than me right now? Yang Zishuan's expression fell. Bai Cheng didn't answer him. He just smiled confidently. Palace Master White, no one is in the Dragon Gate, right? Bai Cheng asked. Yes. Palace Master White nodded. Okay, I have not been tested in a long time. Today, let me give it a try. After saying that, he immediately entered the Dragon Gate. Both Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan, who were supposed to leave, stopped and looked carefully at the Golden Pavilion to see what would happen. After entering the Dragon Gate, Bai Cheng quickly passed through the first level, causing it to light up. Then he continued moving forward smoothly. He passed 8 levels in succession. Bai Cheng entered the 9th level and stayed in it for a long time before the 9th level finally lit up, releasing a golden light. The 9th level of Dragon Gate passed. He actually passed the 9th level. Yi Rufeng was shocked and couldn't say anything. It should be known that even if it was him, he would not be able to pass it, even after trying his best. However, Bai Cheng succeeded. He really was the top genius in Dragon Palace. This is the strongest person in Dragon Palace, so awesome. Though Yang Zishuan is great, he is new and young. He cannot compete with Bai Cheng yet. We thought Yang Zishuan would be strong enough to be Bai Cheng's opponent, but the truth is that he is far away from him for now. A large number of disciples of Dragon Palace in front of the Dragon Gate were discussing the recent events secretly. Not long after that, Bai Cheng walked out of the Golden Pavilion. Under the watchful eyes and shocked expressions, Bai Cheng walked over to Yang Zishuan again and smiled slightly before saying, "You'll need to work harder, freshman." After saying that, Bai Cheng left without looking back. Since Jian Wushuang only passed the 4th level, Bai Cheng did not even give him a second glance. He is really arrogant. Jian Wushuang licked his lips, the battle intent vaguely rising in his eyes. "Yang Zishuan, what do you think?" Jian Wushuang suddenly asked. "About what?" Yang Zishuan looked at him indifferently. "I don't like him. Don't you want to defeat him?" Jian Wushuang asked. "Crush him under my feet." He won't be qualified to be my opponent within 1 year, replied Yang Zishuan. Hearing that, the corners of Jian Wushuang's mouth quirked up. "All of you are so arrogant and conceited. Okay, you are peerless geniuses, so it's normal to be proud of yourselves. Besides, you really are strong." Jian Wushuang thought. Someone who just joined passed the 8th level of the Dragon Gate, and the other one passed the 9th level. However, he could only pass the 4th level after trying his best. So there was a huge gap between him and those 2 peerless geniuses. The wider the gap was, the more it inspired him. There was a gap now, so what? It should be known that he had only started comprehending the essence realm of heaven and earth 4 months ago. It's unbelievable to comprehend both of the sword essences of Gale and Earth to such a high level within 4 months. No matter whether it was Bai Cheng or Yang Zishuan, they were both older than him, and they had spent much more time comprehending the essence realm of heaven and earth as well. Bai Cheng asserted that I could only be a golden dragon messenger, like Yi Rufeng in the future. Let's see. Jian Wushuang snorted. "All right, go back to your places. Yang Zishuan, swordsman, you both follow me," Palace Master White said. Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan followed Palace Master White. Yi Rufeng and the Golden Dragon Messenger, who brought Yang Zishuan, here followed Palace Master Black to receive their rewards. These Golden Dragon Messengers had the right to recommend disciples. Every recommendation that passed the test and became a disciple of Dragon Palace would earn the Golden Dragon Messenger a reward based on the strength of the disciple. In the Dragon Palace, both Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan were curiously examining their surroundings while Palace Master White was telling them the basic information and rules of Dragon Palace. Dragon Palace is a cultivation sanctuary. You both became disciples of Dragon Palace, means that you are talented. In Dragon Palace, there are 238 disciples, not counting both of you. Among the 238 disciples, only one had passed the 8th level of the Dragon Gate, and that was Bai Cheng. But now he has passed the 9th level. 16 disciples passed the 7th level. 67 passed the 6th level. 141 disciples passed the 5th level. The 13 disciples left past the 4th level. After saying this, Palace Master White could not help glancing at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang also could not help touching his nose with an embraced expression. There are 238 disciples in total, and only 13 of them were at the 4th level. Most disciples were all at the 5th level or higher. It seems that Bai Cheng was right. I am at the lowest level in Dragon Palace right now. However, Jian Wushuang didn't worry about being at the bottom. It didn't mean that he would be at the bottom forever. So many geniuses are in Dragon Palace. However, the more geniuses the better, for me. Jian Wushuang's eyes were sparkling with excitement. Chapter 65. Chapter 65. 4 Matchless Heroes. Dragon Palace is known as a holy place for cultivation, and it's worthy of the name. Palace Master White continued. The 4 temples of earth, fire, water, and wind, the secret land of heaven and earth, and the secret pavilion are the 3 treasures of Dragon Palace. They are of great help to the disciples of Dragon Palace. As for the benefits of the 3 treasures, you will gradually understand them in the future. In addition, there are also 2 places for practicing: the Dragon Gate and Heavenly Palace. The Dragon Gate, which you have just tried, is the best place to test the progress of the Dragon Palace disciples. It can accurately gauge the disciples' perception to the essence realm of heaven and earth. As for the Heavenly Palace, that is used to test overall strength. Usually, no one will go to the Heavenly Palace. Only disciples who have enough strength to leave Dragon Palace will go to the Heavenly Palace. Palace Master White simply explained a few basic conditions of Dragon Palace again. Not long after that, she arrived at the manor with Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan. Each disciple of Dragon Palace will have a single house. Your rooms are also in this manner, Palace Master White informed them. Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan quickly noticed that the manor contained 4 independent houses, even though the area was not big. Fatty Wong. Palace Master White's voice echoed throughout the area. "Oh, I'm coming," a rough voice echoed back, after which a big fat man in a blouse hurried out of one room and a timid figure hurried out of another room. Jian Wushuang looked at the 2 incoming people. That big fat man was not tall, but he was extremely large, weighing nearly 300 jeans. That big face, larger than an ordinary person, was covered with a smile. But the smile seemed very quirky no matter what angle you looked from. As for the other person, she was a tall and thin girl with long blue hair. A young girl who appeared to be only 14 or 15 years old. She followed the big fat man, looking down in a very shy manner. It seemed like she was afraid to make eye contact with Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan. Palace Master White glanced at the big fat man and told him, "From now on, they will live in the manor with you. You can take them and familiarize them with the environment of Dragon Palace." "No problem." The big fat man nodded and promised. "These are your disciple tokens, which contain your points. In Dragon Palace, points are very important. Many of the resources in Dragon Palace can only be redeemed using points," said Palace Master White. Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan took the tokens and examined the numbers. 2,000 points. Jian Wushuang felt excited. Then he looked at Yang Zishuan's token. He had a full 6,000 points. I only have 2,000 points, but he has 6,000 points, 3 times mine. Is it possible that the points depend on how many levels you pass through in the Dragon Gate? Jian Wushuang secretly pondered. In his opinion, that was the only possibility given the situation. All right, little guys, make sure to work hard. Many years from now, I hope to see another 2 excellent disciples emerge from my dragon palace, said Palace Master White, who smiled and then immediately departed. After Palace Master White walked away, the big fat man immediately looked over and introduced himself. My name is Wang Yuan, and the girl next to me is Su Ro. Swordsman, Jian Wushuang said. Yang Zixua. Yang Zishuan also introduced himself. Swordsman, Yang Zishuan, your arrival made the manor considerably full. Come, for the first meeting, the 4 of us need to have a quick drink, replied Wang Yuan with a smile. Then he turned up his hand, and a wine pot appeared. After the stopper was opened, the aroma of the wine soon spread it out. Smelling the aroma, Jian Wushuang smiled. While on the other side, Yang Zishuan's indifferent expression also slightly relaxed a bit. After which, the 4 of them drank in front of the stone table in this manner. After drinking a few glasses of wine in succession, the atmosphere was no longer so boring. At this time, Wang Yuan said, Swordsman, Yang Zishuan, we will not live in the manor together for more than several years. It's too polite to call each other by name. What if we call each other as brothers and sisters according to age? I'm the oldest, so I'm the elder brother. Yang Zishuan, your age is only a little younger than mine, so you are the second brother. Swordsman, you the third brother. As for Su Ro, she's our 4th sister. All right. Wang Yuan smiled and looked around. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded his head. After all, they will live in the same manner in the future. The relationship among them should be better. And after drinking, the 3 of them all left a good impression on him. Wang Yuan, he was a generous and careless person without any scheming. This kind of person is the most worthwhile to make friends with, except his talkativeness. Yang Zishuan, as indifferent as he is, did not put on airs. It's said that he is the one who broke into the 8th level of the Dragon Palace when he arrived. With such talent, he was still willing to sit down with them to have a few drinks. His eyes did not have the slightest bit of arrogance. For the point, making friends with him was very worthwhile. As for the last one, the little girl Su Ro, she's so timid and shy that she didn't dare to say one word while they were drinking. Jian Wushuang felt a little strange in the beginning, but later he heard from Fatty Wang that when Su Ro was a little girl, she had been sold to a mansion as a servant girl. To be a servant girl since childhood, it's normal for her to be so timid. However, this timid little girl had a great reputation in Dragon Palace. As mentioned before, among the disciples of Dragon Palace, only Bai Cheng had passed through the 8th floor. There were 16 disciples that had passed through the 7th level, and Su Ro was one of them. And most importantly, this year, Su Ro was only 14 years old. The 14-year-old Su Ro broke through the 7th level of the Dragon Gate. What does that mean? So, after Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan learned of her achievement, they were both astonished. Similarly, Su Ro is also worth making friends with. Therefore, after hearing the proposal of Wang Yuan, Jian Wushuang immediately agreed. Yang Zishuan, as always, was indifferent, giving neither refusal nor opposition. As for the timid girl Su Ro, she nodded her head shyly. Since there is no objection, let us make this decision final. From now on, The four of us are siblings. We shall share happiness and hardship together, said Wang Yuan. Then he smiled and lifted the cup for a toast. Without any hesitation, Jian Wushuang and Su Rou immediately raised their glasses. As for Yang Zishuan, he pondered for a while, then raised the glass too. Quam. With the toasting finished, the famous Tianzong dynasty and the four matchless heroes of the heaven and the earth were born. Chapter 66. Chapter 66. Secret Land of Heaven and Earth. After drinks, Wang Yuan was hanging out with Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan. You two have just arrived at Dragon Palace. Let me show you around. I'll take you to the treasure troves of Dragon Palace, Wang Yuan said. All right. Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan nodded. Dragon Palace covered a large area and was famous for 3 treasure troves, for temples of earth, fire, water, and wind, secret land of heaven and earth, and secret pavilion. The first place Wang Yuan brought them to was 4 temples of earth, fire, water, and wind. Look, this is 4 temples of earth, fire, water, and wind. Wang Yuan pointed to the 4 pavilions, which covered a wide area. Each pavilion had a gilded character engraved on the lintel, earth, fire, water, and wind, respectively. The 4 temples of earth, fire, water, and wind are where the disciples of Dragon Palace visit the most. Earth, fire, water, and wind represent the 4 kinds of essence realm of heaven and earth, which are earth essence realm, raging fire realm, water drop essence realm, and gale essence realm. There are 6 temple masters in each temple. They're the top experts in the world and have reached the highest level of comprehending essence realm of heaven and earth. The reason why disciples of Dragon Palace often visit 4 temples is that the temple masters usually give lessons in the temples, displaying some martial arts techniques and giving disciples some advice. If you have any problem in comprehending essence realm of heaven and earth, you can consult these temple masters. After receiving their guidance, you might be enlightened. On hearing this, Jian Wushuang's and Yang Zishuan's eyes lit up. If I have any problem in comprehending essence realm, I can consult these temple masters. What's more, there are 6 temple masters dealing with each essence realm. The 6 temple masters in each temple should be good at different aspects. It would be superior to following a top expert. Although a top expert would try his best to teach someone, he was alone and studied only one aspect. If he encountered unfamiliar fields, he would not know how to instruct them. In Dragon Palace, 4 temples covered 4 kinds of essence realms of heaven and earth. Each temple had 6 powerful temple masters who studied various fields. Therefore, the disciples did not worry that they would encounter an unsolvable problem. Now, we come to the secret land of heaven and earth. Wang Yuan led the way. Then they stood in front of a majestic palace. 2 golden-armored sergeants kept guard at the palace entrance. Wang Yuan said, "Secret land of heaven and earth is special and helpful at comprehending the essence realm of heaven and earth. If you want to enter secret land of heaven and earth, you need to pay 1,000 points to access the palace, and you can only stay inside for 2 hours each time. Though it is only 2 hours, I'm sure you'll benefit greatly from each visit. Moreover, you're newcomers in Dragon Palace, so each of you can enter the palace for free 3 times. Oh, Jian Wushuang said, raising his eyebrows. He had just been surprised at the 4 temples of earth, fire, water, and wind. The secret land of heaven and earth was as famous as the 4 temples. Jian Wushuang was somewhat curious about it, as the palace, with the harsh requirements to access it, must be extraordinary. How about it? Do you want to have a try? Wang Yuan smiled mysteriously. Sure. Jian Wushuang gave a little smile and then glanced at Yang Zishuan. Second elder brother, you go first. Yang Zishuan nodded and directly walked toward the palace. The two golden-armored sergeants stepped forwards, but immediately allowed Yang Zishuan to enter secret land of heaven and earth. 2 hours later, Yang Zishuan came out of it with a blank look. Second elder brother? Jian Wushuang frowned. Don't disturb him. He's in the state of comprehension. Wang Yuan was not surprised at all and spoke to Jian Wushuang. Third younger brother, it's your turn. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly, and then he stepped towards the secret land of heaven and earth. The two golden-armored sergeants walked forward again and let Jian Wushuang enter after realizing that he was a newcomer. What on earth is stored in the secret land of heaven and earth? Jian Wushuang stepped into the secret land of heaven and earth with a flicker of curiosity. As soon as he entered, Jian Wushuang immediately felt himself surrounded by darkness. There was only a glimmer of light ahead in the endless darkness. Jian Wushuang could not help but look at the light. He was totally absorbed in it. The glimmer of light suddenly changed into a sword, which contained sword essence of gale, earth sword essence of raging fire, and sword essence of the water drop. He knew the 4 kinds of sword essence were unfathomable, although he had not comprehended the last 2. Jian Wushuang drew out Triple Kill's sword behind him, the sword light starting to move. One after another, the ethereal sword light moved flexibly. Jian Wushuang then started to perform the anonymous swordsmanship. He easily showed the first move of anonymous swordsmanship, Blood Shadow. He did not encounter any problem either in performing the second move of anonymous swordsmanship, sword-killing movement. The third move of anonymous swordsmanship, named Expeditious Maneuver, was a terrifying killing move emphasizing absolute speed. Jian Wushuang had not comprehended this move. He thought it was because his speed at unleashing the sword was not fast enough. In fact, it was related to his inferior comprehension of sword essence of gale. However, Jian Wushuang could not help wielding his long sword and slowly performed this move in this special situation. Hoo! The sword light flashed and then disappeared with the wind. He naturally performed the third move of anonymous swordsmanship, Expeditious Maneuver. Nevertheless, it was not over. As Jian Wushuang continued to wield long sword, the sword light became grander and more massive. Every beam of the sword light contained sword essence of earth. One strike after another. Suddenly, the glimmer of light disappeared. Jian Wushuang was slightly surprised and blankly stared into space. 2 hours? I've run out of time? Jian Wushuang looked into the darkness, sighing. Then he turned to leave. Jian Wushuang walked out of secret land of heaven and earth and saw his 3 sworn brothers waiting outside, but he ignored them and directly sat on the ground, with eyes closed. Wang Yuan, Yang Zishuan, and Su Ro were not angry at Jian Wushuang. They knew Jian Wushuang's state and did not want to disturb him. After a while, Jian Wushuang finally breathed a sigh of relief and immediately stood up. How about it? Wang Yuan asked with a smile. Good, very good. Jian Wushuang nodded heavily. The benefits from practicing in secret land of heaven and earth for 2 hours can be comparable to that from earnest cultivation in a month. Chapter 67. Chapter 67. The Secret Pavilion. What Jian Wushuang said was the truth. He had merely spent 2 hours inside the secret land of heaven and earth, but made great progress in his understanding of the sword essence. My sword essence of earth and gale have both made huge progress in the third form of formless swordsmanship. Jian Wushuang was pleasantly surprised that those 2 hours were equivalent to his 1 month's worth of hard work, or more. Same here. I made great progress, too, Yang Zishuan said seriously. Ha ha, This is one of the 3 treasures of the Dragon Palace. The cost of entering, it's so high, naturally there's a high return too. You can enter the place 3 times. Since you've entered once, you must treasure your 2 remaining chances, Wang Yuan said, smiling. Come with me. I'll show you the last treasure of the Dragon Palace. They followed Wang Yuan to the entrance of a heavily guarded tall attic that exuded a faintly ancient scent. This attic is the most important of the 3 treasures of Dragon Palace, the secret pavilion. There are countless treasures in the secret pavilion, but you can only take them in exchange for points. Go in and have a look, Tianbao said. Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan immediately entered the secret pavilion. Inside the large and spacious secret pavilion, the treasures were divided into many categories. There were cultivation methods, martial arts techniques, elixir pills, and exotic classes. With a heavenly creation skill that defied the natural order, Jian Wushuang had no need for cultivation methods. Neither did he need elixirs and exotic classes for now, so he made a beeline for the martial arts techniques section. The martial arts techniques section was divided into swordsmanship, knife methods, spear methods, and so on. Jian Wushuang left Yang Zishuan's side and headed straight for the swordsmanship section. The section stored nearly thousands of rare books on swordsmanship. Fortunately for Jian Wushuang, there was a list that he could refer to. Otherwise, he might need to flip through each book to find the one on his swordsmanship. The list detailed a number of swordsmanship, a basic introduction for each swordsmanship, as well as the points needed for exchange. But just from a quick glance, Jian Wushuang realized the lowest ranked swordsmanship on this list was already top-notch ones. There was also no shortage of sword skills. Sword skills were beyond the scope of so-called swordsmanship. Generally, one needed to use sword skills with a display of sword essence understanding at the same time. Formless swordsmanship. The first item he looked for was the formless swordsmanship. He found out from Yi Rafeng that the formless swordsmanship was none other than the anonymous swordsmanship. The formless swordsmanship had 9 sword movements, and what he had been cultivating was merely the simplest first 3 of the swordsmanship. Found it. Jian Wushuang's eyes brightened when he found the formless swordsmanship on the list. Formless swordsmanship, the sword skill acknowledged by the Tianzong dynasty as world's #1. It was suitable for warriors who understood the sword essence of Gale. There were 9 movements, and each was stronger than the one before it. Exchange for the first 3 movements with 200 points. Exchange for the middle 3 movements with 2,000 points. The last 3 movements are unavailable. So it's true, they only have the middle 3 movements, not the last 3. Jian Wushuang shook his head. He had heard this from Yi Rafeng on their way here. Though there were 9 sword strokes of the formless swordsmanship, the most powerful latter 3 were long lost to history. The Dragon Palace might be the cultivation sanctuary of the Tianzong dynasty, but not even they could recover sword movements in a swordsmanship that had been lost. I'll need to spend 2,000 points alone just for the middle 3 movements. Jian Wushuang frowned secretly, for his current score was precisely that number. There's no hurry. Let's look at other sword skills. Jian Wushuang was not anxious to make his decision yet. He started reading the category of swordsmanship for Sword Essence of Earth Understanding. His comprehension of Sword Essence of Earth was, in fact, far higher than Sword Essence of Gale. It was a pity that he did not have any suitable sword skill to display it all this while. Even in the mansion of Sword Marquis, the first-class swordsmanship, he leaned toward the earth essence. But that was not even a first-class swordsmanship, let alone a super first-class swordsmanship. It was too weak that he could not even show the might of his sword essence of earth to its fullest. Therefore, his immediate priority was finding a suitable sword skill in the sword essence of earth. There were many sword skills on the list that was suitable for his goals. He finally selected 3 after carefully pondering over each one. They were Mark of Earth, Immemorial Sword Skill, and Formless Sword Wave. Mark of Earth required 2,500 points, while Immemorial Sword Skill required 3,000 points. Formless Sword Wave was divided into 2 sections, with each being 2,500 points. Though each of these sword tactics has its own advantages, I think the Formless Sword Ripple seems superior. It also suits me better, but the exchange rate is higher. Jian Wushuang frowned. The 2 sections would cost him 5,000 points. At the moment, he only had 2,000 points. Whatever. Since I don't have enough points for the other 2 sword skills now, I'll just not exchange for now. I'll just wait and find a way to get more points. It wouldn't be too late by then. He then left the swordsmanship section and began taking a stroll through the elixir pills and exotic classes section. There were all kinds of odd treasures and elixirs here, many of which were hard to find in the outside world. In the secret pavilion, one only needed points to get them. Before long, Jian Wushuang left the secret pavilion with Yang Zishuan. But before he left, Yang Zishuan spent 4,000 points to exchange for a martial arts technique. Jian Wushuang could only shrug his shoulders helplessly. There was nothing he could about it. Yang Zishuan had more points than him after all. When he came out of the sword pavilion, Wang Yuan came up to him. "What do you think about the treasures in the secret pavilion?" "There are many of them," Jian Wushuang said. "I've once visited the storehouse of a great power, but it's nothing compared to this place," Yang Zishuan added. "Ha, of course. This is the secret pavilion of the Dragon Palace. How can those so-called sects of the Qianzong dynasty compare to? As the disciples of this place, we can redeem the treasures if we have enough points." Wang Yuan smiled. "Boss Wang Yuan, how can we get these points?" Jian Wushuang asked. "There are many ways. I'll tell you one by one," Wang Yuan replied, immediately describing each method. First method, go through the Dragon Gate Pass. There are 13 stories in the Dragon Gate. Starting at the 3rd level, you can get 1,000 points for passing through each level. After the 9th floor, you get 2,000 points each. I heard you mention that one of you passed the 8th floor and the other the 4th. Old 2, you earned 5,000 points. Old 3, you earned 1,000 points. But every newcomer also get 1,000 points for free, so you have 6,000 and 2,000 points respectively.